And the offense stays out there on 4th and 6.
Well, if he's just going to, I don't know what he's going to do. This is surprising to me, but can't believe they're going for it here on 4th down.
Hurts airs it out. A.J. Brown. It is broken up. And the play made by Valentine. And now, because they went for it, there's 27 seconds left, but there's life for Green Bay. They've got good field position, and they don't need much to get McManus into field goal range.
No, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was here.
Here we go. Snap was low, and the kick no chance. And this game belongs to Philadelphia.
Kinda. I mean, they won.
That kick was awful, by the way.
I wouldn't say it belonged to Philadelphia, though. That's what it sounded like last night on ESPN. The Eagles win Monday Night Football by a final score of 10-7. Alex, my wife, would occasionally walk by the screen, and she'd just say, boring game tonight, huh? I was like, yeah.
I was fighting back the sleepies there for a little bit. I was ready to fall asleep watching that game.
It was mostly good defense, but also bad football, is what we witnessed last night.
Can those two
Alongside
things
Alex
work?
and T-Bone on BK, you got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Those are the two teams that I have the toughest time getting a grip on right now, Alex. I don't know what to do with the Eagles. I don't know what to do with the Packers.
I tell you what to do with the Packers. Ball them up, throw them in the trash.
Can we start on that side?
Yeah, please, because are we done with this, whole, Jordan Love, he's great.
Well, I thought yesterday maybe it would have been different because they weren't playing on a Sunday. And
no, it's just days that end in Y.
the whole thing is, hey, Monday to Saturday, I think the Packers are good. And then I watch them on Sunday, and I think to myself, this team isn't very good. I typically like watching their defense, and then their offense takes the field, and I want to put soap in my eyes because maybe that'll feel a little better than what it feels like as I watch their offense.
Just drink it instead. It'll feel better.
I don't get it, man. It doesn't make sense to me. I know that it's not like the greatest talent in the world on the offensive side of the ball, but you should have a good running game. I think you have a good quarterback. A few of these receivers have at least shown themselves to be capable over the last few years. And it's just not coming together at all. So earlier today over on The Athletic, their beat writer wrote that the rest of this season, Matt LaFleur might be coaching for his job in Green Bay. That seems crazy to me because I think he's a top 5 to 7 coach in the NFL. And again, I watched the team and I'm like, yeah, kind of get it. And then you hear Josh Jacobs after the game saying, hey, on that 4th and 1,
yeah,
that was just a baffling play. I don't know what happened there. It's like the Eagles were calling out what we were doing. They said inside zone to this side, and then guess what the Packers ran? Inside zone to this side of the ball.
That's on the quarterback, though. That's a trash move by Jordan Love to not adjust.
This is what happened against Mizzou, and there was a lot of criticism of Mizzou, and everybody says that their play caller stinks, so I guess the same energy has to be there for the Packers. What am I supposed to do with this team, Alex?
Again, ball them up, throw them in the trash. This team is not they may make the playoffs. I don't know if they do, but they're not anything that goes past the first round of the playoffs. They don't have any game-breaking talent. Their defense makes stops, which is great, but their offense, Jordan Love is just kind of average. He can make an occasional really good throw. That's about it. They have no receivers minus Kraft, and Kraft was like the guy that opened everything up. They've got nobody else that I watched in the fourth quarter. Both Dobbs and Wicks dropped like 3 first down passes that were in their stomach, and you dropped it. They don't have receivers that break the game wide open. You've got Josh Jacobs and you've got Tucker Kraft. Well, Kraft's hurt now, and Josh Jacobs probably frustrated by some of the calls that's being taken place on the field. So you've got an elite defense, but you've got an offense that has nobody that can make plays with Jordan Love out there. And if your wide receivers can't make the plays, well, then Jordan Love's just going to be average, and you're going to have a lot of 3-and-outs. That's what I'm seeing with this Packers team.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Alex. I think there may be a fringe playoff team. Like, they probably get in as like the 7, just depending on how healthy and how quickly San Fran gets back to health. They're not winning anything meaningful. And they remind me of the Chiefs from, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, where it was, man, that defense is unbelievable. And then I watched like their cast of misfit toys in the wide receiver room, dropping balls, lining up in an illegal formation, covering up an alignment after a 20-yard pass.
I don't like thinking about that year, so if we could please stop.
Like, the difference, Love's not Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So he can't uplift the team offensively. He is more of an average quarterback. I think Jordan Love, if you see a good year from him, it wouldn't make me assume, he had Tucker Crouch. Oh, and they finally drafted a receiver that he could catch the football for him. He's not a guy that uplifts the talent around him. He is more in that 8 to 15 range when it comes to quarterbacks. And that's fine. That is fine to have, but you got to have an elite cast around him. And I agree with Alex. They don't. It is a band of misfit toys for them in that wide receiver room.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, frankly, as you see them occasionally. I mean, this week they scored 7 points against the Eagles. Eagles have a good defense, don't get me wrong. They did this last week against the Panthers. Mm-hmm. And this wasn't new. This was each of the past 2 weeks. They've scored a combined 20 points against the Panthers and the Eagles. You would think that would look better against the Giants, who just fired their head coach because they're awful. They're like the second worst defense in the NFL. But I don't have a whole lot of confidence that it's going to get fixed in that game either. You look at this, Alex, over the past 2 seasons, do you know how many Green Bay Packers wide receivers have a game of at least 100 yards?
Devontae Adams isn't there in that window, right? So, God, no. I would say less than... I would say 1.
I'll go 2.
There have been 2. 2 Green Bay Packers receivers over the last 2 seasons have had a 100-yard game.
I want to play the real trivia? Name them.
Oh.
Do you want to? Go ahead. They're both still on the roster.
Oh, well, he's not on.
Dobbs.
Was it Romeo Dobbs? Wick?
One of them played last
Christian
night.
Watson.
Yep, that's one of them.
He was good for 6 weeks in fantasy football.
The other is Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed had a good season last year, if you guys remember. He hasn't been healthy this season. But those 2 guys both had a 100-yard game. But other than that, they have no receivers this season with a 100-yard game. No wide receivers. Their running game, they have no running backs with a 100-yard game so far this year. For an offense that we think of over the last couple of years, it's on the up and up. Here we go. This team's going to be good. They're not. And so you look at them now, they're 3rd in their own division. As of today, the Chicago Bears are ahead of the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North. Yep. That is unacceptable
and honestly,
for this team. They're too good. They're too talented to be there.
We will see it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then play against each other. I think as of right now, the Bears could beat the Packers in that matchup. Bears are the better team. They've got the better offense. They've got, frankly, players that make big plays. I think when I look at the NFC, I started the year after that big Packers win. I think it was over the Lions that first game of the year, which is an anomaly now. I looked at that and I said, it's going to be the Packers, it's going to be the Eagles and the Lions, and then everybody else falls into place. And now I think the Packers are on the outside looking in that tiers.
So as we look big picture at the NFC right now, and I'm not just talking about the NFC North, the NFC as a whole, and we can throw the Eagles into this conversation now, who also didn't play well last night, and their running game is also hard to watch. I don't know what happened. Saquon Barkley last year was 5 yards a carry every game, and he was breaking off 20-plus yard runs seemingly every other carry. And this season, nothing looks explosive. It all feels hard for him and for the Eagles' offense. I don't get it. It's very confusing to me watching both of those teams, and then to see them on the field last night, it all came together in what was just a poo-poo platter of a football game. How would you rank the current best teams in the NFC? And when I say this, let me project a little bit. As you look at them today, and also how you would view them if you're projecting towards January. Because I think it's maybe a little different of a conversation to say these are the best teams today versus these are the teams that I think will be the best by the time that we get into January. How would you view this?
Rams, number 1, Lions, 2, Seahawks, 3. And then I don't think I would put anybody else in that category. And I'm even saying that to the Eagles, because the Eagles, I know they could turn it on in the playoffs. They haven't shown me anything that their offense can go on some type of run.
If you had to make a prognostication today, you would take the Seahawks over the Eagles in a playoff game?
Yep. I think the only team that I wouldn't take the Seahawks in would be the Rams or the Lions.
I agree with Rams 1, and I think it is by far 1, and then way down we go to that second team.
Agreed.
I would probably still go Eagles 2, and then I would go Seahawks 3. And the reason I would take the Eagles over the Seahawks is because I've seen them do it before. Even though, I watch them and go, this is painful, this is brutal, but their defense is good. And Seattle, I still don't trust Sam Darnold when it comes to making plays. At some point, I do think he's going to revert back to himself, but the defense will keep him in a football game. And that's why, to me, they are in that third spot over Detroit. I don't trust their defense.
I think that's how I would rank it. I would go Rams 1, Lions 2, Eagles 3, Seahawks 4, I guess, and then Packers 5.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm putting the Packers at 5. I don't know who I'm putting at 5.
You know how hard it is for me to quit them, man.
I think I'd probably
it's hard for me to put them below 3rd.
Yeah, well, I think you need to come to reality with us. Yeah, you should probably go get that checked out and get medicine for it. I actually would put the Buccaneers before I would put the Packers, because when the Buccaneers get Bucky Irving back, when they get Chris Godwin back, if they get them back, that team is more dangerous than the Packers.
I think you're right. I also just the Packers defense is still really good, and that does matter. I don't know how much.
But you can't win football games like you did last night in the playoffs.
I know.
Got to have a quarterback that does something, and at least Baker Mayfield will break his left arm to try and win that game.
I still think I believe in Jordan Love.
Ooh, you're the only one.
I know. I'm going to be the last one out on this. I'm on Jordan Love Island,
right?
We did.
You need to stop watching Love is Blind, because it's not blind, buddy. You're seeing it right in front of you.
I mean, we'll see over the next few weeks. They've got the Giants and the Vikings. If this offense doesn't look better in those two games...
You think the Packers are going to be able to put up points against the Vikings?
Yeah. But I keep doing this. I thought they would put up points against the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, God, in the Giants game, that's going to be all the... That's going to be the extra motivation because they got their coach fired. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Packers are going to lose the next 2.
I'll probably pick the freaking Giants as my upset pick again.
If they fire Matt LaFleur, he immediately becomes the most...
The Giants would pick him up before they play the Packers.
In-demand coach on the market, right?
Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah.
To me, that would be similar to when the Eagles fired Andy Reid, and every team in the NFL was like, we got to get this guy. He's amazing.
Because if I'm another team and I see that the Packers fire LaFleur, it's not going to be, oh, what's wrong with LaFleur? It's, it makes sense because they have nothing that LaFleur can work off of.
Yeah. I would think if you're Cincinnati, you just immediately fire Zach Taylor and say, hey, what's the number? How can we get Matt LaFleur to be our next head coach? And here, LaFleur, come work with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And LaFleur's got to be like, whew, this is great. I miss working with these kinds of weapons.
I don't even do anything.
Because he doesn't have that opportunity while he's working with the Green Bay Packers. I don't think he'll be fired. I think the Packers will ultimately make it to the playoffs. They'll finish in 2nd in the division. Yes, maybe it ends up being a disappointment once we get to the playoffs. That is still very much in play. But I still think they're going to finish with 10 wins this year.
Dude, stop living in denial. She's like the toxic girlfriend. You just need to say, hey, you keep cheating on me. It's not going to happen anymore.
All they have to do the rest of the way is go 5-3. You don't think they could do that?
No.
You guys really don't?
Let me see what
they've got one game left against Detroit.
I think got 2 against the Bears.
On the road against Denver, 2 against the Bears, 2 against the Vikings, 1 against Baltimore.
I don't think they're going to be able to put up points against the Vikings. I think they're going to lose to the Lions, and you probably lose one of those games of the Bears. And honestly,
I think they're a significantly better team than the Bears.
I agree with you, but that offense right now at least actually makes plays.
They do, but they do against bad teams. You look at them recently, this is what they've done. They put up 25 against Washington, 26 against the Saints, 47 against the Bengals, who, let's be real, and 24 against the New York Giants. This is the Bears that I'm talking about. The one time they played a real team was against Baltimore, and they got boat raced in that game. I think that's going to be more of what it looks like. I think the Bears are kind of we're better than all the bad teams. We're not quite as good as all of the good teams. We're on the right path, though, so every Bears fan should feel good about this season. Once they go up against the Eagles, the Packers, the Lions, I think they get big brothered in those games.
I think you win 4 games.
That's what I counted.
I think you beat the Giants. I think you beat the Broncos. And I think you win one of the Vikings 2 and then one of the Bears 2. You lose to the Ravens, you lose to the Lions, and you lose to the Vikings and lose to the Bears.
So they finished with 9 wins this year.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know what that means for the Bears, but the Bears might beat them for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they probably would.
Yeah. And then it just comes down to, does San Fran? Yeah. Does San Fran find a way to get to 10 to get a pass?
And BK will be continuing to stand here and be like, they're a good team.
I'll be picking them to win the Super Bowl. I'll be like, hey, I know they missed the playoffs, but this team's going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to have my board behind me. It'll be the Always Sunny thing. I've got a bunch of lines.
You look like me last year with the Blues making the playoffs. It's going to happen.
I come in at 11:30 and I do an emergency podcast. Here's how the Packers will win the Super Bowl despite missing the playoffs.
Me and T-Bone will just be like, Somebody get this guy help.
He's Alex's T-Bone on BK. Speaking of which, the Blues need to replace Mathieu Joseph in the lineup tonight. I didn't think I was going to think this is a big deal, but it kind of is. We'll tell you about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So the Blues had to make a lineup change for tonight, Alex. It sounds like Mathieu Joseph is going to miss tonight's game with a lower body injury. There have been some line changes accordingly. The top line today, at morning skate, Booch, Thomas, and Snuggerud. The second line, if you want to view it that way, Holloway, Dvorsky, and Kyrou. The third line is Schenn, Suter, and Bukestad. And the fourth line, which I like, Torpo, Sonny, and Walker.
That feels like as close to an identity line as they have had this season.
Defensive pairings, Broberg with Parayko, Fowler with Falk, and Tucker with Kessel, Bennington in the starter's net. What do you make of the changes that they've decided to make going into tonight's, borderline must-win game against Calgary? You can't lose to this
It's not
team.
even borderline. You must win this one. Otherwise, nobody is going to be believing in this team. I like it. I like going back to Thomas, Booch, and Snuggerud. I feel like that's the line that has given them the most consistent threat. I really like that we've got Holloway and Kyrou back with Dvorsky. I think that one probably, put a check mark next to that. That one to me feels like it could be lethal in this game against Calgary. Talk about confidence booster for Holloway, who I believe has got points in 4 of his last 5 games, but then Kyrou and Dvorsky, that one to me could be lethal. I don't like Schenn, Suter, Bukestad. Feels very slow to me, but that's where Joseph was supposed to play, so I can understand what they're trying to get with. And then you finally have that identity line. So hopefully Sundqvist can provide what Radek Fox have provided last year, because they desperately need just a line that can actually go out there and provide some oomph for the team. So I like the combinations. A little nugget from practice, because Jordan Deacon's been there these last couple of days. She said Joseph apparently went down yesterday at practice, and he said it was a lower body injury. Jordan said she thinks it was the ankle. She's not sure, but regardless, he didn't make it sound like it was severe. Okay. Just right now, lower body injury for Joseph. But I think this is the best you have in front of you. To me, it's just more along the lines of, can you get some cohesiveness with your 4 lines? Because that's what you're desperately lacking right now.
So the other thing they need is energy. And yesterday at practice, you may have seen the videos that were surfacing on social media. The Blues had a DJ.
DJ Khaled, what's up? You're the new one.
It was DJ Jakey Nabes on the ones and the twos.
Is that really the DJ, or did you come up with that?
No, Jake Neighbors.
No, I know,
Jakey
but
Nabes.
That's good, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Should invite T Drizzle.
Here's why the Blues decided to have music at the practice yesterday, according to Blues head coach Jim Montgomery.
It's not to keep the mood light. We need more energy. That's why we brought the music. I think for 5 out of our last 6 games, we've played pretty good hockey. Yet we're 2-2-2. So, when you're not winning, it doesn't matter what sport, you're not happy when you're on the rink. But our energy is low. We choose our own energy, and I want our energy to be up. I want us to be talking louder than the music. So we're demanding pucks. There's a couple of reasons for it. It wasn't just to get guys to put smiles on their faces. I want more energy.
Okay, so 2 things. One, smart.
Yeah.
Good move. Good move by Jim Montgomery. You got to try new stuff,
That's
right?
a good coach method.
I know that some here in St. Louis made fun of the whole Joe Madden. They've got a petting zoo at spring training stuff, and I get it. Like, it's hokey. It's all of these different things. It also keeps the mood light. This stuff can become monotonous. You go through the same grind every single day. And in baseball, you're doing so from February, hopefully, through October. That's a really long season. And so if you're able to break that up a little bit, you're able to do some of the outfits that they did going on to the flights. Like, that stuff all kind of plays into keeping a light mood. So I get it. It's smart. It makes sense. Also, man, I don't love the fact that he had to do it. It is not a good sign for your team that the head coach is like, dude, we lack so much energy. We have to consistently find new ways to bring the energy. It almost feels as though they're dreading going to the ice. They're dreading getting on the ice together.
Can you blame them?
No, but it's the opposite feeling of what you want to have going to the rink every day. And if that's the case while you're playing better hockey right now, dude, we're in November. Mm-hmm. This thing's going through like May. There is a lot of season remaining for the St. Louis Blues. It's just, to me, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. I didn't mind seeing it, and then I heard the rationale behind it, and it did give me a little bit of concern. It's not the vibes that you want to hear coming out of practice.
No, and I mean, again, I kind of said that snarkily, but it's true. I mean, like, that Seattle Kraken game had to have broken that team more than anything. You play well. That whole thing happens, it's hard to get your confidence back. Everyone was saying that the Blues needed to do what they did against the Sharks in the hand pass game. There's a difference of that, though, because that team was awesome for 3 months, and they could move on from it because it was the Western Conference Final. This team is in a bad spot, and Jim Montgomery is trying to find every possible way to keep this team's mentality high, because right now, they just need to win hockey games. And I know it's easier said than done, just go out there and play well, but they're lacking confidence. So I get it. And I think it's good what Jim Montgomery did. It doesn't bode well for the team's leadership core, because what you need is, and I know this is just making a lot out of nothing, but you need your guys to find a way to bring everybody else into it. But the problem is your leaders are the ones that are lacking confidence right now. Thomas, Buchnevich, Parayko, Fowler, all of these guys are where the team is kind of leaking right now, and you got to fix them before you can fix the team. So it doesn't bode well where the team is at. I think more than anything, they just have to start getting results. And it's not about, they need puck luck. No, they need to go out there and play for 60 minutes so that they can get the win, feel like they're on the right side of this, and then start stringing some plays together.
Yeah, I mean, one name you didn't mention there was Braden Shen. He's done everything he can.
And Shen has been very outspoken. He's talked about this with Curbs. I've talked to him before. Joey's mentioned it. He is not a vocal leader. He is a lead by example type of player. It's the same way that Jay Bomeister was.
Who are the vocal players on this team, Alex? Because you're around them more than we are. So who are the guys that you feel like are vocal within the group? So,
I'm not in there, obviously, before games, but when we're around, Jake Neighbors is a very vocal guy, not so much of the rah-rah, but he's just the one that keeps energy high. Mathieu Joseph is this way as well. Beyond that, I don't think there's many guys. I think Robert Thomas is a lead by example. I think Braden Shen's a lead by example. Pavel Buchnevich is somebody that jokes around and is light and has fun, but he's not the rah-rah type of leader. Justin Falk, who wears the letter, is a lead by example. Parayko's the same way. They've got a lot of guys that just go out there and put it on the ice and hope that they can follow. And, this is a weird element because I've talked with this with Joey. A lot of the times hockey players can read through players' BS when they're trying to be rah-rah players.
But you can't fake it. You either are that or you're not. Joseph is that. That's who he is.
Right.
He's a guy that just talks a lot.
Yeah. Neighbors.
If you're in the same area as Mathieu Joseph, you can hear him. Yeah. You can feel his energy. Yeah. And it's not fake. That's who he is. But if you try to become that and it's not who you are, people just get annoyed by it.
Yeah. Well, and I think they got a lot of guys who are younger players that don't want to step over the line. They've got a lot of veterans who lead by example, and they got a lot of guys who lack confidence. You remember last year, the whole staring at the camera thing?
Yeah.
They need something like that. That's how you try and keep...
That's another thing that can't be just randomly
it's organic.
brought apart. It can't, the Gloria stuff.
Yeah. Or Jobu last year. I know Jobu was a big thing. That's all organic, but that doesn't happen if your team's not feeling good about themselves. Exactly. I will never forget that 2019 team because they were awful. We all know. But every time you walked into that room, it was like they were in the middle of a 10-game win streak. They were always so chipper. Their spirits were so high. But think about it. They had guys like Pat Maroon. They had guys like Ivan Barbashev, Oscar Sundquist. All of these guys just kept the mood light, joking around and having fun. They're not doing that right now. And as Montgomery said in that audio piece, nobody can change that. That's on the players. The players got to get out of their funk before they can start bringing that to the rink every day.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. We'll get to questions and answers at 11:45. We'll have our questions for Jeremy Rutherford, the Blues insider for The Athletic, when he joins us coming up at 12 o'clock. But next, the general manager meetings are taking place right now in Las Vegas. Some of the beat writers are out there covering the St. Louis Cardinals. And Alex, there's an offseason wish list that appears to be started. It sure sounds a whole lot like it did at this point last year. Is this time going to be different for the Cardinals? Talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues back in action tonight as they will host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alex, I'm reading this from Derek Gould's piece in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch earlier today. Quote, Nolan Arenado Take for the second consecutive offseason, the Cardinals are actively looking to trade third baseman Nolan Arenado to find a contending team for the veteran and to clear playing time for a younger player.
Oh, he's not going to get moved. They're not going to find a contending team.
Arenado is, of course, not the only player the Cardinals are hoping to trade. He's not even the only veteran with a no-trade clause. Two others, Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras, have no trade clauses and will be discussed. And Gray expressed at the end of the season an openness to consider a move to a contender. These potential trades will shape the Cardinals' offseason, its pacing, their spending, and influence what they can do elsewhere on the roster. Bloom said that when it comes to exploring the free agent market for pitchers or exploring other trades, quote, all of the potential moves can be worked on simultaneously, end quote. Okay. So this all sounds like what we talked about last year, where there were conversations about what happens with Nolan Arenado. What's the plan with Sonny Gray? What's the plan with Wilson Contreras? Do you consider moving on from one of your left-handed bats? How are you going to add externally, if not moving on from some of these pieces, because there's a lack of financial flexibility for the roster? And ultimately, we got to the end of the offseason, and it was like, yeah, actually, we did nothing. We traded nobody. We added nobody. This is the roster that we've got going into opening day. Oh, wait, here's Phil Maton for $2 million. Cool, great addition, but what about the other stuff that you were supposed to do? And the answer was essentially, well, we didn't trade Arenado, which made it impossible for us to do anything else. The order of operations was such last year that it was just him, then everything else. And because we never got to him, you never got to the everything else. I do like hearing from Chaim Bloom, and it's a simple thing to say, a little harder to actually accomplish. We can do all of these things simultaneously. I remember a couple of years ago when the Cardinals signed Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, we talked about how, hey, the order of operations here is off. What's going on? You just added the back end of the rotation, but what you're really lacking is the front end. And then they signed Sonny Gray, and they came out afterwards, and Sonny was like, yeah, man, they called me like after they had signed those guys and said, is it too late to sign you? And I told them, well, I'm planning to sign basically tomorrow. What can we do? And over the weekend, they hashed out the details of the deal. But had that thing gone on an extra 24 hours, they could have missed out on Sonny Gray. So that's why I find that seemingly throwaway line so important for the Cardinals offseason. My question to you, based upon this reporting from Derek Gould, Alex, is it going to be different? Are they actually going to be able to accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves a year ago this offseason?
I hope that it is. I believe that it is, but I don't know if I can actually say it will, because like Nolan Arenado is still the looming piece in all of this. Like, before you can move that, you really can't get much else done if you're talking about making trades. Now, what they can do is they can still pull off trades of their active players, like move Brendan Donovan to go get a piece that helps your team for the now and the future. If they decide to move an Alec Burleson, if they decide to move any of these other pieces, they can still do that and have the Nolan Arenado kind of dark cloud looming over them. But that's a substantial amount of money that I don't believe the Cardinals are going to be willing to take on money and still have that payment looming. So I think Chaim Bloom sure seems like he can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. He can talk to multiple GMs around Major League Baseball and still know this is the task that we're going to get done, but here's what we try and have happen for us. The problem with all of this is in the pieces that you need to move on from, like Nolan Arenado, and if they decide that they need to move on from Sonny Gray, until you get the approval of the no trade clause and that they're willing to go somewhere, I don't know how much they can get done. So I'm kind of like on the fence of this.
I think the Arenado thing should be easier this year than it was last year, and here's why. Last year was about maximizing return. This year, it's about just take as much as you can. Like, just take him away from us. We will eat as much money as we need to, but this needs to be a move that we make. For everybody involved, we need the playing time. That's the value here. It's like the Vladimir Tarasenko thing. I remember when we were having that conversation, the question that I had was, is this about maximizing your return, or is it about opening up the cap space? Because that changes what you're willing or able to take for Vladimir Tarasenko. This year, the calculus has changed for the Cardinals in my mind. It's about opening up that spot on your roster. You need those 600 plate appearances for J.J. Weatherholt and then for whoever returns out of Sajisi, Donovan, Gorman, etc. So I think this year, there should be, I would imagine, there will be other teams across Major League Baseball that say, hey, we're not in it for Alex Bregman. The second tier of third baseman on the market this offseason, not all that great. We'll go ahead and trade for a really cheap, aging, yes, veteran player in Nolan Arenado, who we believe can, at worst, be a Gold Glove caliber defender for us at third base. So I think that should be easier this time around than it was last year, because you're not trying to maximize the return the way that you were last year.
The problem with all of this is the team on the other side making this deal has the Cardinals bent over a barrel.
Sure, and the Cardinals say, all right, cool, thank you, sir, may I have another? Like, what's your choice?
Well,
yeah, you're right.
That's from Heinz' perspective, but are ownership going to be able to eat 75%?
Every reporting that has been made available publicly is yes.
That's fine, but
we'll see.
But when push comes to shove and the team says, we're not paying all of this for Nolan Arenado, we only want to pay $5 million or $10 million. I just don't trust ownership to be like, yeah, we'll eat, what?
They have to.
$100 million of it?
They have no choice now.
I know, but I don't trust them to. Like, we could say they have no choice. They had no choice last year to try and do it, but instead they're like, well, we'll keep them.
They did, though. Last year, there were teams, apparently the Boston Red Sox being the team, really, that was willing to take on more of the deal. The Astros literally, like, they decided we will take on more of that deal and seemingly we'll give you a prospect in return for Nolan Arenado. Arenado said no. This year, he is more open to more teams, according to all of the reporting that's been made available. And according to reporting, the ownership side of things is open to including far more money into those negotiations than they were a year ago. All I can do is trust the reporting that's out there, because that's all we got. And if that's true, and I'm going to believe it, this should not be a deal that lasts into February, March, etc. This should be a deal that is, the sooner you get this thing done, the better, because it allows you to understand what your roster looks like and also allows you to understand how much of that money were we able to get off of the Bucks to potentially have some flexibility to go back to the market to sign somebody, because it will influence that for you as well. Yeah. That and the Sonny Gray decision. I think those two things, you should try to be the team that is hyper aggressive, like starting today, to try to move those players as soon as humanly possible in the offseason to actually jump the free agent market. In my opinion, that's what I'd be trying to do here.
I don't know, like, Arenado is not the one that really hampers what they're able to do in the market. Yes, it will determine what they have to spend and all that. They had plenty of money come off the books this past offseason. And then like, Gray, I expect, like, they can move off of that deal. That one will not be hard for them. They may have to eat a little bit on that, which will kind of impact a little bit. Arenado doesn't feel like he's the golden star that drives what they have to do in the market this offseason, I don't think, because I think they can trade pieces away that cut some payroll, Sonny Gray especially. They can move off some of the logjam positions with Brendan Donovan, Gorman, Burleson if they so choose, and then Arenado's almost like the bonus if you get him off the books, and they are trying like hell to get him off the books. I think
to me is more about playing time and roster construction than it is about the money.
Maybe, but I don't even know if you have to do it like that way. Like, if you can't get a deal done with Arenado, like, let's just say in December they go, man, nobody has interest in him because he is a washed-up superstar at this point, and it's probably not getting any better for him. Then you can just move other pieces away. Like, you can trade to Brendan Donovan and open up second base.
I'm unwilling to do that for Nolan Arenado.
I agree.
I'm not keeping Nolan Arenado here in any scenario. I think has to be traded.
I think there's a real scenario where he is back.
I do too.
He can't be.
I think
he cannot be back on this roster
if no one wants him.
No, he can be because you have to find the team.
I understand what you're saying because I'm in the same boat as you, but I'm going under the understanding of an ownership group that may be telling us they're willing to do things differently.
Mine's not ownership. Where's the spot for him? Who's the team that's going to take him?
I think there's going to be a spot that will find him.
See, I don't know that there is.
It's not going to be a contender. That's the part that I don't believe in. It's going to be a team that's not a contender.
I don't care who it is. And neither can Chaim Bloom. Chaim Bloom's job is to canvass the other 29 teams across Major League Baseball and say, one of you's taking him. Who's it going to be? And you find the suitor. And if one team says, hey, we're willing to take on $15 million of Nolan Arenado over the next 2 years, and another team says we're willing to take on 5, and neither of them are willing to give you anything in return, cool, we'll give them to the team that's willing to take on 15. And that's it. Like that's his job this offseason. It is not about maximizing return. It is not about getting any kind of a prospect. It is about moving this player, A, from your books as much as possible, and B, just from your roster to allow for the opportunity of playing time for your younger players. I cannot go out there and say, I need to move X, Y, or Z because I did not move Nolan Arenado. No, if that happens this offseason, no matter what happens afterwards, is a failure. That guy cannot be back on the roster next year. I'm sorry. It cannot be a repeat of what we saw a year ago.
I agree. He cannot be here. There is a path to where he is here.
I agree with that.
If that path is true, you have to release him.
And
he cannot be on the 26-man roster on opening day of 2026, or Time Bloom and this ownership group have failed.
We're all in agreement with you, but what we're saying is there is a path to what you say cannot be acceptable is going to happen.
Takes two to dance, and I don't know if there's a second partner.
It cannot be an acceptable route for this offseason to go. It can't be. And so that's what I'm rejecting the premise.
Well, this is like you rejecting the premise of the Packers potentially being a Super Bowl team. Like I do think there is a situation where they are unwilling to eat the money that is necessary to get him off of this roster. And I could see ownership being like, you know what? He's a Gold Glover.
If so, then Cardinals fans should be furious more than they have been at any point over the last few years.
This is why you yelled at me when I get pre-mad, man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to get pre-mad here because all of the reporting suggests they're willing to do what I'm talking about. Everything. There is no reporting anywhere that I have found from anybody that covers the team day to day that says, hey, they're unwilling to include the money. No, it's been actually the opposite. Katie has reported they're willing to include money this year in a way that they were not a year ago. Derek has reported that as well. Jeff Jones has reported that. We've seen all of the people that cover the team day to day say this ownership group is willing to include money for the first time. We have also seen reporting from the player side of things. He is open to expanding the list of teams. In fact, I think there was somebody that reported yesterday he's willing to basically go anywhere.
Ooh.
In order to get away from St. Louis because he knows that it is a decision that needs to be made this offseason. I would also say from the player side of things, you know what's super embarrassing? Getting released. And when you have that possibility that is looming for you, I would rather get traded for pennies on the dollar than get released as a future Hall of Fame player. That is an embarrassing way to go out if you're Nolan Arenado. So I don't think he's going to hold them over the barrel the way he did a year ago, and I don't think ownership will hold Chaim Bloom's feet to the fire the way they did with John Mozeliak.
I hope that to be true, but what I said at the beginning of other teams have the Cardinals bent over a barrel. Now, the moment you start seeming desperate to where you need to get rid of it is the moment they start asking for things that are unrealistic. And that's the part that I really wonder if they get to it. It's like, yeah, well, we can't do that. And then nobody's saying, well, we're not going to do a deal. And then you're stuck with the decision of release them or return with them.
But the place where I disagree, like there are only so many third basemen on the market this offseason. There are not that many third basemen that are capable players. And I know we all think that Nolan Arenado stinks because we've watched him over the last few years. He's still an above average, or he is still a player that puts together positive wins above replacement. Like he is a net positive when he's on the field because of how good his defense is. And there are teams out there that will look at it and say, we have the lineup to make up for his lack of offense. We'll go ahead and place him at third base. I mean, a team just gave up a bunch for Brian Hayes at this year's deadline. Brian Hayes is a worse version of Nolan Arenado and is every bit as expensive, if not more so, than Nolan Arenado is at this point in his career. So, yeah, I don't think that you are going to be stuck with Arenado. I think there will be another team. I disagree with T-Bone's premise. I think there will be teams, plural, that are interested in him at the right price. And then it is incumbent upon the Cardinals ownership group to be willing to meet that price. It's not on Chaim. This offseason, Chaim's job is pretty easy. Hey, who's willing to take him? All right, I found 5 takers. What's the price you're willing to take him in? All right, here are the dollar figures attached to it. Now I go to ownership and say, how much are you willing to pay down? And they say, all right, well, what's the prospect return? Nothing. In none of these deals do I get any kind of prospect return. All right, then take the best deal that gets the most money off of our books. Then you go to Arenado and say, are you cool with this? If he says no, then you keep going down the list until you find the team that he's willing to go to that also was willing to trade for him. Just super easy offseason, all things considered, compared to what it was a year ago, theoretically.
I like your optimism. I'll say that much.
My percentage of him being back is I would say 40%
Oh
that he's
my
back,
God.
60% he's gone.
I'm probably at about like 30% he's back.
I'm at 1% that he's back, and that's just opening up the possibility that like he has an injury that we don't know.
And what BK said, like, and I think that's potentially possible, but what BK said, like, well, if he is back, then you release him. My odds of them doing that is like less than 1%. The ownership group will not release a future Hall of Famer. If that's what it came down to, I don't think
they're
going
to have to. That's what I'm saying. Is like I disagree with the idea that they're going to have to. So.
I disagree with the notion that he's willing to expand his list to everyone. Like the Pittsburgh Pirates come calling and saying, "Hey, we need a third baseman."
It's a beautiful city.
I don't see Arenado being like, "Yep, I want to go there."
We got this on the YouTube chat. 314-399-9646, by the way, is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show for questions and answers on the other side. From Hunter, BK, what do you make of Jeff Passan not including the Birds in his article as a team with a quote-unquote perfect fit this offseason?
Yeah, what the bleep was that
Didn't make
about?
much of it. He did have, I can't remember who it was, but he had a Cardinals player going elsewhere. I think it was Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, it was Donovan to... I can't remember.
Cleveland Guardians.
That's what it was. It was a small
because of
market
the
team.
Rob Serfolio connection. That is the thing about Brendan Donovan, by the way, and it's why I think he probably will be traded this offseason. Any team in Major League Baseball, including the Cleveland Guardians, can make it work.
He opens up the possibility of it, too, to where there's a lot of teams that are willing to bid on his services, 100%. And that's where you get the best return.
Good player, ultimate flexibility, where you can
play him anywhere.
If you want him to be first, second, third, in a pinch, short, or corner outfield spot, he can play any of those spots for you. He works money-wise. He's probably going to be willing to sign a long-term deal somewhere, I would imagine. He's the kind of guy that could get that done, so it'd be 5 years, $75 million, which is, again, a deal that any team in Major League Baseball could sign. He is like the ultimate trade acquisition in any given offseason. I can't wait for him to be a Dodger. Coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from the 314 question. Do the Cardinals need pitching? If yes, why not trade JJ?
Cardinals need everything.
Yes, we need pitching. Although I was thinking of this the other day.
They got pitching.
Where are you going with this?
I actually feel a little bit better about where their pitching could be at by the time we get to May or June next year.
Absolutely.
And the reason for it is, you've got Liberatore.
You just made is why I'm looking at you this way.
Is I don't know if I should put Gray in here or not. But if it's not Gray, I'll say a free agent was signed.
Sure.
So you've got Gray / free agent, Mathieu Liberatore. You've got Michael McGreevy. You've got Kyle Leahy that moves into the rotation.
Who I'm not going to get excited
Is there
about.
somebody in for Palante?
I mean, if you're excited about Leahy.
There's probably another free agent that you probably bring in as well. If you Gray, maybe another free agent, two free agents.
None of that is making me overly excited.
The part that makes me feel better about where they'll be at by June.
Doyle and Quinn Matthews.
Quinn Matthews. Another name that I would not be surprised that we start to hear conversations about would be Bryson Motts.
Yeah,
spent
all
year.
Henderson was really good in the minors last year, too.
And I don't remember if Henderson finished at AA or not. Okay, so you've got Henderson, Motts, both at AA last year. Probably start the year in Memphis. So, by the time you get to midway through the year now, instead of the Cardinals are boy, we have nobody if somebody gets hurt. You should have hopefully 4 arms that could be ready to go.
Here I come.
The depth is there.
Sexy.
The depth is much better than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
That I feel better
about. And that's why I'm saying I feel better about it.
The upside, the high level starting pitching is still a need. And that's why this offseason, you mentioned free agent. I think their free agency bids are going to be for Dustin May or bottom of the barrel number 4 or 5 starters that have some upside. If you're looking for somebody that is actually going to slot in toward the top of the rotation, it would be in a trade, but no, to answer the question, not for J.J. Weatherholt. That's not the move you make.
Yeah, I'll pee in your Cheerios. I've heard a lot about Cardinals pitching in the past, and with the exception of Doyle and Quinn Matthews, because these guys I know, the other ones, I'll believe it when I see it.
Totally fair. That is the right
Their pool has not impressed me in the past.
Nor should it have.
Yeah. No, Heim's been there. They've changed the minor league systems. Terfolio, I've heard him talk about this.
And the reason I get more excited about Motts is he's one guy that they've pointed to man, his stuff really upticked. So it makes you think, maybe some of the stuff they brought up.
A year ago, he was saying, hey, watch out for Bryson Motts. This is before Motts had made an appearance at the AA level last year because he was hurt to start out the season. Said, watch out for Motts. We think that he's going to have a really good year. He did. And they seemed to unlock something for him. From the 314, guys, do you think that the Cardinals are going to become the Pirates of the 2000s? No, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to be consistent, Pat. I just think you're probably going to have a couple of rough years that they try and compete, but it doesn't pan out. And then when they start to get the results of some of these guys they've invested in, that's when you start to open it back up.
From the 636, if Ryan O'Reilly gets traded from the Predators, do you think that a trade to the Blues would help this team get back on track?
No.
I don't think that's what they're missing.
No. I mean, look, I understand they're probably thinking the leadership comes in and helps, but I got to be honest, Ryan O'Reilly, as good as he is and as good of a leader as he is, he's kind of past that window that benefits these younger players. I think right now you need somebody that's around the same age bracket as these guys, that's got a winning pedigree, that can bring in that fire that an individual. Honestly, one of the Kachuk boys makes sense. You're not trading for him. Those are the types of players that you need to bring in to instill some fire into the players.
The irony is they don't need a center.
I know.
For the first time in 5 years, they're actually pretty good down the middle. They need finishers, and that's not O'Reilly. They need somebody to come in that can score 35 goals. Yep. They need a guy that just a lethal shot, whether it's on the power play or preferably at 5-on-5.
Like a Bolduc shot.
314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line. That. By the way, he has
9 minutes.
1 goal, or 1 point at 5-on-5 in his last 8 games.
He's a power play threat.
That's the same as Booch. It's whatever.
He's essentially what Dvorsky might be. He's an awesome power play weapon for you that might be good at even strength.
Yeah, Bolduc had a 3-game stretch to begin the year. His first 3 games, he had 3 goals. He had a goal in each of the first 3 games. That set in motion all of the hysteria here in St. Louis.
And there was a lot of it.
Since then,
Tanner.
He has 0 5-on-5 goals in his last 12 games.
Yeah. And they're playing him that way. They're playing him about 9 minutes a night. He's a power play specialist. With a really good shot that could help you at 5-on-5, I don't think he's ever going to be a 30-goal scorer.
He got benched the other night again.
I think, and I believe I had this on a Bet It or Forget It last week. I think at the end of this season, or maybe it's next year, Dalibor Dvorsky's point totals could be close to Zach Bolduc's point totals.
314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Jeremy Rutherford, Blues insider for The Athletic, joins us next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Some lineup changes expected tonight for the St. Louis Blues. One is not what you want to hear. Mathieu Joseph is expected to miss the game tonight with a lower body injury. However, they have reconstructed the lines. Booch, Thomas, and Snuggie. Shin with Suter and Bukestad. And then the third line tonight, Holloway with Dvorsky and Kyrou. You can find all of that over on Jeremy Rutherford's Twitter account right now, at JP Rutherford. You can hear JR right now here on 101 ESPN via the Callier and Thompson hotline. JR, appreciate the time as always, my friend. What do you know about the Mathieu Joseph situation?
Yeah, it popped up yesterday in practice, and it's a bummer for the Blues because he's been playing so well, earning that spot in the lineup. And he comes out tonight. Oscar Sundqvist comes back in. You know, I don't think that's anything serious with Joseph. At least that's the thinking here at the moment. But Sundqvist, who is a healthy scratch the past two games, he'll be back in. And, guys, we're going to see that fourth line that I think everybody was talking about as a projected fourth line going into the season, with Sundqvist in the middle of Torpachenko and Walker. And had a chance to talk to Oscar at his locker today, and he said that as being a healthy scratch the past two games, he said that Washington game was the worst of the season by far for him. And after a little review session and talking to Jim Montgomery about that game, he's ready to get back in the lineup.
Do you think, JR, that that line can bring more stability to an identity line that the Blues had last year with Foxa?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably their best chance to get close to that identity that they had with Fox in the middle last year. And Jim Montgomery did say that today. He said that hopefully they can start to form that identity line. So, to be honest, it sounded when he said that like something that could stick if they start to have some success. There's been a lot of mixing and matching with the lines when everybody is healthy. But now with Joseph out, Sundqvist steps in there, and everybody's back. So Torpchenko was out for a little while. So to give him a chance to have those three guys together on that line, and something that the Blues truly have missed is that fourth line identity from last year. So it would be nice to get that back.
JR, I'm intrigued by this Holloway, Dvorsky, Kyrou line. The speed on that is hard to ignore. The skill is also hard to ignore. Do you think it'll work? Because there are some questions defensively, at least, with a line combination like that.
Well, I think that if you're Dvorsky, you had to show up at practice, or show up at the morning skate today and be excited to be on the line with those two guys. I mean, that's speed to burn. We know that they've played both on the same line together in the past with Braden Shen, but the rookie Dvorsky gets that opportunity. So if it were me, I'd be like, can I keep up with these two guys? So I think it's going to give him some offensive opportunities for sure. And I know what you're saying, but I think Dylan Holloway's game is starting to come around a little bit, and he's just so tenacious, and he's in all three zones, so he's going to be able to help Dvorsky out there. So we'll see what happens with this line, but I like the look of it, and I like the possibility, especially with the way that Dvorsky's been playing and setting people up.
JR, you were at skate yesterday. What did you make of them having to bring in a DJ to get the vibes and the energy up for a team that, frankly, is at the bottom of the NHL standings with their opponent tonight?
Well, Alex, I liked what Jim Montgomery said about the reason for it. It's not to lighten the mood. So many coaches come through NHL teams and try to do different things to spark a team. And, this could be looked at as something like that, but it wasn't to lighten the mood. It was to bring some energy. And you talk about this Blues team lacking some energy earlier in the season, the slow starts. We saw the other night a second period that was sluggish that let the game get away from them. They've been outscored now 25-15 in the second period of games. So, trying to mix it up and leave it to Jake Neighbors. He always wants to be a part of things. He wants to be involved, and he's in the penalty box as the DJ. So some tunes yesterday at practice, and we'll see how this works. Remember last time Jim Montgomery was coming to the press conferences talking about tunes that didn't work out so well. So we'll see how this one works out.
Yeah, fingers crossed this one goes better. I like the explanation. I appreciate the honesty. I don't love the fact that they had to do it, is basically the way that I viewed this yesterday. We're talking to Jeremy Rutherford, Blues insider for The Athletic. You can read his latest piece over there on The Athletic. The headline, what if 2025 becomes a lost season for the Blues?
Come on, JR.
Would Gavin McKenna offset it?
Obviously.
JR, I'll ask you the question. What if this is a lost season for the Blues? What does it mean?
Well, and, talking about, you talk about how the sausage is made in terms of when do you print an article like this. And I tried to be careful for those who have read it. You don't want to get too far ahead. Look, it's November, 11th or 12th? I lose track. But you got
keeping track.
No, it's a long season, JR.
You got a situation where they're 5 points out, but you got 6 teams ahead of you. So that's teams that you're going to have to obviously climb to get back into this wild card race. And, what does Doug Armstrong think about the makeup of this team after he's seen it play for 16 games? And if he thinks that even if this team can get back into it, is it going to be worth moving some guys at certain points if there's interest out there? And so I just wanted to tackle the bigger picture issue is in terms of what if this does become a lost season? And the points that I tried to make in the article are, yeah, you're going to get a higher draft pick. What are the odds of getting a Gavin McKenna? Well, right now, Money Puck says it's about 9.5%. So, those odds are long. But I will say that in terms of the Blues and their retool, and this is where I want to be really clear, we know that Doug Armstrong is not going to do a full-on rebuild where he's stripping it down to the studs, where they're going to win, 30 games and finish last in the standings, and the seats are going to be empty for 2 or 3 years. But what if in this retool, they have a season like this where they don't perform well and they are able to get a top 5 draft pick who can come in and play maybe right away, maybe it takes them a year, but they also have $25 million in the salary cap next year that they can build around that player. And they have some core guys still here with Broberg, Holloway. There's a lot to build around here. So I don't think it'd be a situation where even if they had one bad season and picked up a guy like McKenna, that they couldn't be back on the horse in a year or two. So in the big picture, it's not what the team, the coaches, anybody's thinking about. They're thinking about a W tonight. But I think that the big picture, it could be something that wouldn't be the worst for the franchise.
So I know you don't have the answer for this, JR, but just, speculating, like if that were to happen, don't you feel like there's a bigger underlying issue if the Blues did have that happen to them? Because it's the 4th straight year we've had these conversations about slow starts, best players not living up to their potential, questioning kind of the culture of the team, and bringing in a 17 or an 18-year-old, you still have the main issues, barring them making some type of big move with their NHL roster.
Yeah, I think all that is true, and I think the answer to that is identifying who you think is holding you back from getting to that point that's likely in the core group, and doing something about that. And that's what Doug Armstrong and moving forward, Alex Steen are going to have to figure out. So it can't be just a situation where you sit back, you don't make the playoffs, you bring in a Gavin McKenna or whomever, and then you think you're going to be fine in a year or two. There's definitely some other moves that have to be made, and they have to be based on the evaluations of what you think is happening with a season like this.
We're talking to Jeremy Rutherford here on 101 ESPN. JR, what's the mood going to be like tomorrow if the Blues lose this game?
Well,
what the hell, man?
I mean,
you're talking about me.
JR and I are going to be like, how many more games is there this season?
I mean, JR, this is the worst team in the league. You've been playing better hockey. You had the DJ at practice yesterday.
DJ!
You've got, it would seem like a good opportunity here to get things back on track. If you don't,
did you guys pick a song, by the way?
Yes.
You guys pick a song?
Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On.
The end of the road.
I'm going with the Motley Crue. I'm a Motley Crue guy. I'm so old that I used to like put tacks in the album covers and hang them up on the wall. So I'm going Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. How about that one?
Rascal Flatts, Life is a Highway.
You notice I'm doing everything I can to avoid BK's question.
Creed, 6 feet from the edge. Alex's drive home playlist, essentially.
BK, it would be definitely devastating. And we've been talking lately about, you're ranking the Blues losses, and nobody wants to get into that. But you had the 4-0 blown lead. You had the goalie interference. You had the game in Washington. I mean, there's a lot of them just early in the season. But, I mean, this one would have to be at the top of the list. It seems like each recent one climbs to the top of the list. But this one would have to be. You're talking about a Calgary team that's dead last in the standings. They haven't scored a goal in their last 2 games, been shut out, and they're last in the league in goals for. So it's a situation where they have an opponent, the Blues do, on their schedule tonight that should be able to get them back on track in terms of playing well. And, if we can tie this into that last question about the big picture, could this be a lost season? Like if the Blues were to lose this game, I mean, these have to be serious conversations about moving key guys on this team and which direction this season's going to be heading before we even get to December on the calendar. I think a loss like this would get the Blues closer to that kind of decision making.
Calgary is so going to score the first game and a goal in this game today.
I just wanted that cut for tomorrow, just in case.
Oh God,
that's really it. So JR, if you're listening tomorrow at 11:03, 11:07,
yeah, come on now, you know what that's going to be.
You'll potentially hear what you just said here on the show.
All right. Well, I won't be at practice tomorrow if they lose this game, so I guess I'll be listening to the radio.
Sounds good, buddy.
Don't worry, it'll be on intermission tonight.
JR, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk with you again soon.
Kickstart my heart.
God, what a great singing voice. I got the real song. Blink-182, damn it. That's what it'll be.
See you, boys.
Yep. See you, JR.
JR. Appreciate his time as always. Find his great work over at The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter as well, at JP Rutherford. That's where you can find his new practice reports, Alex. He's doing practice reports.
He's got some
videos.
Well, he's a big star now with the Last Minute Blues podcast, so they're just like, let's get this beautiful mug on more cameras.
What's the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast
tomorrow
coming
after
out?
the Blues hopefully don't lose to Calgary, because if they do, ladies and gentlemen, Donnie is going to be dropping the F-bombs.
I think we should do a wellness check tonight on Donnie if they lose.
He walked by today. He didn't even stop in and say hi.
No,
he just...
In fact, didn't even say hi when you said hi. I then, as he continued to walk by, said, "Hey, Donnie!" He said, "Hi, guys."
He put his hand in the door frame, and that... I need my buddy to be okay.
Yeah. So Calgary Flames versus your St. Louis Blues tonight. Calgary Flames have not scored in either of their last two games. It's as close to a must-win game as you can get as we are in the middle of November. You'll hear pregame coverage tonight starting at 6 o'clock right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Calgary can't score first in this game. If they score first and break a shutout streak of 2 straight games where they haven't scored...
I mean, I would bet on that.
What's wrong? The Blues respond well.
No, they don't.
I don't think I can make that play on Underdog, but I'll take a goal score on the Underdog app using the promo code BKO. They're gonna score. It's a matter of do they score 3 or 4.
People on our YouTube channel were laughing at me, almost crying last week when we did the Purge. I might be broken at that point.
Somebody on the YouTube chat, John Scores, makes a good point. I disagree, BK. If the Blues lose, Calgary is no longer the worst team in the NHL. It's a good point.
That's very true. That's very true. Honestly, I'll take this one even further. If you look like you're on the same playing field as Calgary in this game, we've got problems. If you want us to believe that you're a team that should be competing for a playoff spot, you should be night and day better than that team from start to finish.
Yeah, if you lose tonight, you would have the worst winning percentage in the NHL, I believe. Of all teams, the Gavin McKenna conversations can start tomorrow.
You know what's crazy about it? Nobody in the Eastern Conference is as bad as St. Louis.
No. Calgary's the only team today that's
St.
as
Louis.
bad as
Nashville is too. Nashville started off decent, and now I think they've lost 3 or 4 in a row. They gave up 6 goals the other night. Stamkos once out. Nashville's pretty bad too. Barry Trotz's potentially going to go back behind the bench. They got their own issues.
Both these teams are due. See which one is able to come out on top. You'll be able to hear it right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN.
I don't like 50-50 plays.
In 15 minutes, we'll get into Bet It or Forget It. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. But next, the big conversation that's been taking place among Mizzou fans over the last 24 to 48 hours. Why can't they seem to win the big game? We'll discuss it, give you our perspective on it next here on 101 ESPN. So why can't Mizzou win the big one?
Yeah.
That's been the conversation.
Answer it, Brandon.
There's a stat that TMA has been citing over the last couple of games.
It's a valid. These are facts, though.
You guys know how much I appreciate the research that goes into stuff like this. So I want to say that on the front end. I can't imagine how much time Tim McKernan spent trying to figure out how many wins these teams had against conference opponents that had a winning record. So I truly do. I mean this with all sincerity. It took a ton of time probably to put this list together, and I respect him for putting it together. That being said, and I don't mean for this to sound as Tony as I'm sure it's going to, I really don't care about the list. And the reason why is because I think it's so misleading. T-Bone, you put together the list for Illinois on what they've done against conference opponents under Brett Bielema that finished the season with a winning record. How has Brett Bielema done in those games?
Yeah, so since 2021, when he took over the program, he is 4-12 against teams that are above 500 in conference in the Big Ten, and that doesn't count this year since we don't know where teams are.
That's a 250 winning percentage. It's pretty good.
4 wins against them. That's not bad.
250.
How has he done against top 25 opponents?
Yeah, so he's 0-6 against teams that finish in the top 25.
So you would say that maybe it's a little misleading that he's had quote-unquote success against winning opponents in the Big Ten because many of those opponents are like Wisconsin and Maryland.
I feel like I'm in the jury
Minnesota.
right now.
I would say it's better than Drinkowitz's number against teams above 500 in his conference.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would
that's
say
not
it's
the question.
I would say it's worse, though, against top 25 ranked opponents, considering the fact that Missouri has 2 of them over the last 3 years.
He's backed you in a corner. Admit it.
I'm sorry. It's just like, it's definitive. If we're looking at the best teams in the country, and this is in the regular season, I'm not including Ohio State in this one. This is just regular season victories.
Well, that was cheap.
That's fine. I don't even want to have the conversation. That's why I eliminated it from.
Are you going off of when they were ranked at that time?
End of season rankings.
I guess they went 4-4 in conference then. That team that they beat.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a misleading stat. There are very few teams in the SEC that finish above 500 in conference. More often than not, those teams are Georgia, Bama, LSU, Texas A&M. Like, they're top 10 teams in the country. So when you have so few teams that can go above 500 in conference play, and Missouri, by the way, has been one of them over the last 2 years, your opportunities to beat those teams are extremely limited. Like, the teams that they're losing to are LSU with the Heisman Trophy winner and Georgia, who goes on to play for the national championship in that season, right? Like, they're not losing to Kentucky, who goes 5-3 against conference opponents. So I think it's really misleading when we use that statistic to say Drink can't win the big ones. The teams that he's losing to are top 10 in the country. So is it reasonable to be frustrated by the Vanderbilt loss? Absolutely. That's the one that frustrates me the same way that South Carolina last year was the game that frustrated me to no end. This past weekend, though, guys, they lost to the number 3 team in the country with their 3rd-string quarterback and a backup kicker. Every team in the country, for the most part, loses in that scenario. Like, almost never do you win that game. So that one did almost nothing to me. They played about as well as you can expect against Alabama. They lost, and that sucks. It's super frustrating and very annoying that they lost the game. Bama's really good, and they might win the national championship this year. The Texas A&M game last year, incredibly annoying. You can't lose the game the way that they did. The Bama game last year, incredibly annoying. You shouldn't lose that game the way they did. They also had their backup quarterback in that one. So I go down these, and there are very few instances where I can say, yeah, that's on Drink. He sucks. The LSU game 2 years ago, you lost to the eventual Heisman Trophy winner, who was throwing to, at the time, Brian Thomas Jr., who's now a top 20 receiver in the NFL, and Malik Neighbors, who might be a top 15 receiver in the NFL. You lost to Georgia, who was the number 1 team in the country. And you had every opportunity down the stretch to be able to actually at least make that thing really close. So, I don't know, man. I think it's highly overstated. You've basically had 3 seasons now where you've had a team capable of winning these games. No, you haven't done it. That doesn't mean he cannot or will not do it in the future. I think we're getting way out over our skis on this conversation with Eli Drinkwitz basically being the next version of James Franklin. Yeah, and also, hey, man, if you're Mizzou and you get James Franklin's success at Penn State and you get that at Mizzou, sorry, guys, you got to be pretty happy about that. That means you're probably going to the college football playoff a few times. hell of a coach to have at a place like the University of Missouri.
Yeah, I think what the games you listed off, the ones that suck that they lost, are the ones that I would imagine fans are isolated because it's against ranked opponents that feels like they should win. Like
you're talking South Carolina last year, Vandy this year,
and what was the other one that you mentioned? Hold on, I got to go back to
the LSU one, but they had the Heisman.
No, not the
maybe.
LSU or not the Georgia one. So maybe it was just the A&M.
Yeah, A&M last year, A&M this year, Bama last year, Bama this year.
Yes, because the Georgia one, the LSU one, I went into that saying they don't have a chance to win these games, and I'm not going to knock that on drink. Like, these are just clear-cut dominant opponents. So, yeah, they lost and they couldn't win the game. They had no freaking chance to win the game. The ones that I would imagine people are frustrated with is you go in saying, well, Mizzou's better than this team. Even despite their rankings and where they're at, they're better than this team. And they lay eggs.
But they haven't done that.
The A&M one last year felt like it was an egg.
They weren't better than them. A&M was better than Mizzou last year.
We went into the season acting as if they could make the college football playoffs.
Yeah, and we learned A&M was better than Mizzou last year.
But that's where it felt like it was an egg. Because it's like you go into the season with all of these...
They were an underdog in that game, though.
What I'm saying is you go into the season with all these high projections of the team it's going to have success rate, and then you go up against opponents that's kind of on the same playing field as you, and you lay eggs.
Yeah, I didn't think that Missouri was on the same playing field as Texas A&M. Like, A&M was better than Mizzou last year. So I don't think that was... I don't know. Maybe it's unfair of me. But
I mean, we went into the season acting as if they were one of the better teams in the SEC who could make the college football playoffs, and you can't go in there.
They were a game away from doing so. All they had to do was win at South Carolina. It's why South Carolina, to me, was the one that was actually worse.
Sure.
The South Carolina loss was the one last year that I look at and say, that was frustrating. I'm annoyed by the fact that you lost the way that you did against A&M and against Alabama. That happens sometimes, though, in college football. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but that happens sometimes. The South Carolina loss, that's the peer program. That's the team that you were you were shoulder to shoulder with them, and you lost the game, and it ultimately set you in a path where you could no longer make it to the college football playoff. Had you won that game, I'm not sure that they definitely get in, but at 10-2, they at least would have been in the conversation to do so. That's the one to me that messed it up last year, and this year was the Vandy game. And you lost your quarterback halfway through. I don't think it mattered because I don't think Bo Prabula was beating them either. But that's the game to me that sets you in that direction.
Yeah,
personally.
I think it is the Vandy, South Carolina for me. I think there's an argument for the way that they got beat in the A&M game that is frustrating because you shouldn't get beat that bad.
That's fair.
Because even if you did think A&M was better than Mizzou, and you could have made that argument at the time, I don't remember what they were ranked. Missouri was 9. You don't lose 41-10, right? I mean, it's the same thing for Illinois when they got just abolished in Indiana this year, right? Okay, yeah, maybe Indiana is a better team than you, and they were a better team than you. You still shouldn't give up like 63 points and not even feel like you're in that football game. And I think that's where it's fair to have the criticism of, boy, Mizzou just never really had that game. They didn't even show up for that football game, and that is fair. And that does go poorly against Drinkwitz for not showing up for that football game, having his team ready to play. But really, the two that really set them over the top as it's not so much he doesn't win the big game because BK is right. It is hard for coaches from
Almost
Missouri,
nobody wins
Illinois.
These games we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just your blue blood programs that win the big, quote unquote, big games. What he hasn't been able to avoid is the one egg that cost them, and it's the South Carolina. It's the Vandy game this year. That's the one that you look out and go, yeah, I get it. 9 wins. That's great for Missouri. But, man, if you can just find a way to not have that one game on the resume, you are that playoff caliber team.
They did, though, 2 years ago. And this is what I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Because 2 years ago, they finished 9th in the country in the AP poll. 9th. If the college football playoff existed 2 seasons ago, Missouri was in. This isn't some hypothetical that I'm creating where, like, hey, if you switch this, you change this, you don't have this injury, you don't do that, you would have potentially maybe gotten it. No, they were in. The timing wasn't right. Like, the college football playoff expanded a year after Missouri finished in the top 10 with Eli Drinkwitz as their head coach. They beat, at the time, the 14th ranked team in the country, Tennessee, 36-7. They did the thing that we're talking about, but nobody gave them credit because they didn't get into the playoff. Their season was effectively over at that point in time because the week prior they had lost to Georgia on the road by 9 points in a game that was a possession up until the final few minutes. They didn't get any credit for it because the college football playoff wasn't expanded. I'm not going to blame Drinkwitz for that, though. You went 11-2 that season. Like, you did the thing that we're talking about. The teams that win these games, the quote-unquote big games that we're talking about, It's Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. That's it. Those are the programs that consistently win this game. I looked this up because I was curious. Who are the teams that are getting all of these wins against top 25 ranked opponents? 2022 and 2023 combined. I don't have the end of the season poll numbers, so I can't get it for 2025 just yet. But those 2 seasons, there were a total of 4 teams in the country in those 2 years with more than 3 ranked wins. More than 3 over a 2-year stretch, guys. Those teams were Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, and strangely, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas do it. Missouri can do it.
Missouri had 2 in that stretch of time. Again, there were only 4 teams that had more than 3. There were a total of 13 teams in the country that had 3 ranked wins over a 2-year stretch. Georgia, Bama, Kansas, Ohio State, those teams all had 4 to 6. And then the teams with 3 ranked wins over that stretch of time, and many of them were poor in these games because they played a boatload of them. Oklahoma, who went 3 and 7. LSU, who went 3 and 4, and then Texas Tech had 3 wins. Michigan, Louisville, Oklahoma State, Texas, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Missouri in these games went 2 and 4. For context, Florida went 2 and 8. Kentucky went 2 and 8. South Carolina 2 and 6. Florida State 2 and 5. Notre Dame 2 and 3. Penn State 2 and 3. Guys, who are these teams that are racking up all these top 25 wins? I can't seem to find them. And yet I'm told that Missouri stinks as a program because they don't have them. Sure, who does? Please show me the program that we're talking about that we're holding up onto this pinnacle. And it doesn't exist other than Georgia, Bama, and Ohio State. And I guess if you want to throw Kansas in there, apparently they're that team as well.
We want to be like Kansas, who, has 7 wins is like their most in the last 2 years.
I apologize for getting up on my high horse. It's just driven me crazy over the last 2 games.
I can tell. Yeah.
Or two days as we're having these conversations about Mizzou, like failing to do what every team in the country fails to do. You know why these teams are ranked as highly as they are? Because they don't lose. They don't lose to anybody. Not just Mizzou. They don't lose to Arkansas, South Carolina, LSU. None of these teams are beating them. That's why they're in the college football playoff. That's why they're playing for natties every year. And the hope is one of these days, you beat one of them. If you do it once over the entirety of your season, guess what that does? It gets you into the playoff. Don't lose to the teams that you shouldn't lose to. Take care of business against those teams. Pull off an upset. You're in. That's the formula. That was the formula this year for Illinois. Just take care of business. Beat one of the teams that you're not supposed to beat. They failed. Missouri last year, take care of business, beat one of the teams that you're supposed to beat. They failed. But 2 years ago, they did it, and now we have this revisionist history where they didn't apparently do it because it was a 4-team playoff. And I am taking crazy pills as I hear the analysis that's taking place because of how much revisionist history is saying.
We're only judging from since the playoff has been expanded. And if that's the case, then yeah, this has been a drink is disappointing. You got to change your expectations when the playoff expanded over there, Brandon.
Still couldn't beat South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M.
I'm done. Coming up next, Better to Forget It here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues are back in action tonight as they will host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See him at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. You will tell us, or we will tell you rather, for betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. You guys feel like I've been a little anxious today?
Man, like the air in this room is intense right now. I think I'm an empath because I'm feeling all of your anxiety. And
I'm very sorry if it
stressed.
feels that way.
It's
I do
warm in here,
apologize.
and I can't tell if it's just because it's the room or if it's from all the yelling he's
The
done.
hot air coming from over there.
I'm sorry, guys.
He's like, this is
Just
driving me
I
crazy.
feel like I need to
And I was
I feel like I need to walk out and take a deep breath or something.
No.
It's intense.
I will try to be better the rest of the way. We're talking mostly Blues, NFL, the rest of the way. So I think we'll be better from here. No more Mizzou content. That's really what gets me worked up. All right, let's get into this. Guys, bet it or forget it. The ACC will not get a team into the college football playoff. I saw this earlier today for the first time. Alex, I love the hypothetical. Basically, what has to happen, Duke has to win the conference, which sounds crazy on the surface. But then you look into some of the schedules, feels kind of possible. Like the hardest part is Duke winning out. The rest of it feels very much in play. But Duke would win out the rest of the way, beat Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game, and then they are the quote-unquote representative from the ACC. However, it's possible they're not the highest-ranked team among, like, even the group of 5. So what ends up happening is you get the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. And the ACC may not be a part of that group. It could be like the American or James Madison.
What?
That ends up getting
Those aren't even real
one
conferences.
of those spots. So bet it or forget it. The ACC misses out on the college football playoff entirely.
And I just feel like you asked me like a trigonometry question right there with all of those teams. I'm going to say forget it. I think one of them gets in. I don't think anybody, I don't know how they justify somebody from the James Madison or the American Conference gets in.
James Madison is a school.
Regardless, I just assumed it was, I don't even know it was a school.
No, you missed the
James
part where he
Madison
said
is
I think
where Kurt
Conference USA
Signetti came from.
Yeah.
That checks out, actually.
I will say forget this as well. I don't see a path. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that have to happen. It feels like a very small percentage chance that it does. And even if it does, I don't even know if the committee has the cojones to even rank 2 group of 5s ahead of an ACC school for the noise, whether it's justified or not, that would come with it. I don't think the committee's got the guts to do it. So I'm going to say forget it.
The James Madison Dukes, what's their biggest win?
Doesn't matter.
They
They're a
lost
top
to
25
Louisville?
team right now.
They lost to Louisville by 2 touchdowns.
They're already in the top 25.
Oof.
They lost to Louisville, but their biggest
Beat
win this
Liberty.
year. Liberty stinks now.
They had put 63 up on Old Dominion.
State, maybe.
They're
3
good.
and 6.
Yeah, they're good.
Marshall's 4 and 5.
Hold on, now I'm going to check Texas State's wins.
Old Dominion. Old Dominion's probably their best win on the
Texas State is 3 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still forgetting this one.
They beat Weber State. They're 3 and 7.
Aren't they an FCS school?
None of these teams are making you sell me on this right now.
SMU, by the way, they play against Louisville next weekend. If they lose that game, Pittsburgh loses at Georgia Tech or home versus Miami. Both of those feel very possible. Duke wins this weekend against Virginia, and then they win the ACC championship game. That's how you end up in this scenario. Duke would win the conference at 9 and 4 with losses against Illinois, Tulane, Georgia Tech, and UConn. I'm not sure you can put that team into the playoffs.
Go James Madison Conference, am I right, guys?
You've also got Tulane. Tulane's actually the one that really helps you out here because they have the win head-to-head against Duke.
Yeah.
So they would be the team that gets in over the ACC champion in this scenario, Duke. I'm going to say forget it, but it's a fun scenario. Alex, what do you got for us?
I'm still rooting for the James Madison Conference. Better to forget it. The Blues power play finishes top 10 in the National Hockey League this season.
Where are they at right now?
10th.
Say that again?
Blues power play finishes top 10 this year in the NHL.
I'll say forget it. I don't think they end up I just don't see this team having a top 10 power play unit. I know that sounds like a pretty crappy reason as to why, but I don't know that they have the skill to be there by the end of the season.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say forget it. I think they're top half of the league power play. I don't know that they're top 10. And you saying they're 10th right now, and I say that and it doesn't even feel that way, makes me think it'll fall a little bit closer back to earth and be middle of the pack.
Trying to look at when the last time this team was top 10 in the power play. I'm actually going to bet this one because just for how wild the season's going to be, they're going to be the worst team in the NHL and have probably a top 10 power play. Dvorsky changes it, in my opinion. Gives them a power play threat now.
Guys, bet it or forget it. We're not done with the Mizzou
2019,
content just yet.
2020.
I was going to say, I feel like it was the team that won the cup.
2019. No, the year after.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Bet it or forget it. Missouri will only win one more game of the remaining
come
three.
on, man.
Can't win the big game, so I'll say bet it.
So that means the
Lose to
Oklahoma game's a
Oklahoma.
loss.
That's a big game.
Arkansas, that's a rival game, so it's a big game. So that's a loss.
Alex, this is just the three of us, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but don't bring me anxiety.
They're going to go
or something.
7-5 this year. And
Ooh.
they better win this weekend. Because if they don't, I don't think they're winning another game.
See, do you think they would lose? Which one's more likely to lose, Mississippi State or at Arkansas?
I don't think they're beating Arkansas.
Yeah, I was going to say, at
really?
Arkansas feels like a loss.
Really? Because I think they can beat Arkansas.
Arkansas always gives them a hard time.
Arkansas is awful
I don't think they can
defensively. See, I think Arkansas is not going to score against Missouri because their defense.
Why?
So Arkansas's offense is good, but Missouri's defense is really good.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas's offense is really good.
Defense
I know.
Arkansas put up
So was A&M's offense.
Defense might check out by that
Arkansas
time.
put up 42 against Texas A&M. The team that we just saw completely shut down Mizzou's offense, they scored 42 against them. I think Arkansas's offense is really good. And I don't know how... I think Missouri will struggle more to stop them than they did against Texas A&M. I think their offense might even be a little better than Texas A&M's.
All right, well, then
I think their defense is terrible, but I don't know
That's
how
my
much that
thing.
matters against Mizzou.
I think Missouri could put up some points against that bad a defense at
hope
Arkansas.
so.
I think their defense could keep that Arkansas offense in check. And if the offense plays better, unlike it did against A&M, now your defense is off the field a little bit more and they don't get torn apart in the second half. That's why I think Arkansas is more a winnable game than Mississippi State. I mean, what we just learned is they're losing the next three.
They might.
All right.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort
Gilmore
Service
never
text
let that
line
happen.
for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. From the 314, Alex, bet it or forget it. If the Blues lose tonight, there will be a significant trade before Thanksgiving.
Ooh, before Thanksgiving, I'd say no. Before Christmas, I would say bet it. Thanksgiving's too close. I don't think teams are willing to make trades right now. Teams are willing to make trades post-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas. That's before that winter freeze takes place. So I'd say forget that scenario. If they lose pre-Christmas, there will be a trade.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Forget it. I don't think you'd see a major move. I think it would be more of a margin move, if anything, if they made
I think
a trade
Saravalli even reported yesterday on Vancouver radio that, like, basically the teams have told the Blues, like, hey, circle back with us. We're just not ready to make a trade right now. So he's calling.
Bet it or forget it. Jordan Kyrou will be traded this year.
I'm going to say forget it.
I think I might say bet it. If they make a change, it's going to be one of those three core players. And of the three, I think Kyrou is the most likely to get traded. I don't think they trade Thomas, and I don't believe they'd want to move Pavel Buchnevich.
Last one, bet it or forget it from the 314. Mizzou will lose Eli Drinkwitz to a school that either has a current coaching opening or one that opens up within the next month.
Well, bet it. You just said they can't win the big game. I'm still going to say
all of what
it.
I said earlier, by the way, is why I want Drinkwitz to stay. It's why I think that Mizzou fans should want him to stay.
I'm going to forget it. I think he stays. It's just as much as these teams are desirable around. What did he just sign?
No, I don't have that same confidence.
Oh, okay.
That was going to be something like breaking.
Thought he
his
just like
drink and
committed
took
to
the Penn
somebody.
State
Like,
job or something.
geez. Yeah, I'm going to say forget it. I think he stays.
Oh man,
Grass ain't always greener.
It's not, but boy, the dollar
pretty
bills
dead
are
right
green
here.
too. I'll bet he leaves. I think he's looking at this. And Indiana, he's looking at it going, Indiana is the one-off of, I think a roster like Missouri, you can go to the portal, you can add legitimate talent. I think a school like Missouri is always going to have one hole that hurts them from getting to the playoff. This year for Missouri, it's their offensive line. This year for Illinois, it's their secondary.
I worry about that Penn State job. That's the one that I worry about.
Can I throw a new one at you real quick before we go? Better to forget it. Fernando Tatis Jr. gets traded. Bob Nightingale on foul territory. When you talk to general managers, they say the Padres are in big-time trouble. They're losing money.
This is the thing. Like, they don't have the same ownership group that they once did. Their owner passed away,
Bob
and
Nightingale.
now it's his family that has taken over. And a lot of the time what you see is the family's not as interested in spending to win as the original person in charge was.
It says Bob Nightingale won't rule it out in the future. I obviously can't hear the audio because we're on air,
Sure.
but boy, I'm betting at this
Did you
one.
read lips over there?
Nah, not really. He's a quick
I can
talker.
grab this audio for
I
us,
can't
and we
read
can
lips.
potentially react to it coming up here in just a little bit. I know everybody wants to hear that, but
I'm all in on this one. Yeah, but no, they don't. Remember yesterday they
Yeah, no, they get mad at
complained.
me.
Oh, that was that sarcasm? Okay, sorry, I didn't read it. I like speculation though.
I think he will be traded. I don't think it happens this offseason. Is that a fair way to say it? It's like, I'll bet it. It happens at some point. I don't think it's now.
It's either this offseason or next offseason.
I could see that. I think next year.
Because then you inch closer to his no trade becoming more open, and I think the value goes away a little bit in what you could get in return.
See, I think it's either this year or it's not happening. And the reason I say that is because they're going to have more money fall off the books as you get into the later years.
Are they?
I think Musgrove comes off after next
Dude,
year, if I'm not
they need a
mistaken.
lot of money to come off
I was
the
gonna
books.
say,
Yeah, but Musgrove and Darvish, I think, well, they just extended Darvish, so maybe not.
But yeah, Darvish, Machado, Bogarts, like these guys don't come off the books.
I know Bogarts and Machado. I feel like their
They're-
pitching comes off the book so quickly.
I think it's just
Pivetta has 2 more years after this year. Musgrove has 1 more year after this year.
Oh, so
Darvish
maybe
has
not.
3 years remaining. Cronenworth has like 6 years remaining.
Jackson Merrill's locked up.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm with
Yeah.
you guys. I was thinking for some
Jackson
reason
Merrill
that the
starts
rotation
getting
came
more
off.
expensive in 2029.
It's just this is going to happen.
Machado
Man.
gets more expensive. His continues to go up. He's $20 million now. In 3 years, he's 36.
And he's the one that won't go anywhere because he's at the back end of his career. He's probably comfortable there. Tatis Jr. would probably be willing to accept a trade.
Bogarts, 25 a year every year. Yeah, they've got a lot of
Tatis
money.
Jr.
It's hard for them
So
to move
a
on from
Cardinal.
anything. The only guy that they might be able to do is Fernando Tatis Jr. So
my
I think
God.
they trade him. I just don't know if it's now.
I'm going to text Heim now and tell him to get this deal done.
He's Alex. Let's T-Bone on BK. Junk Drawers next. Hey, it's BK. It's time to unlock your inner champion. There's one place where you go to do so, and that is Victory Men's Health. Check them out today online at victorymenshealth.com. When you get to that website, you can read about all that they have to offer to unlock your inner champion. That looks different for each individual. For some, that means shedding some of that unwanted weight. For others, maybe you're feeling those symptoms of low testosterone. You don't get the same amount out of your workouts. You don't have the same energy you once did. Well, that could be due to low testosterone. They can check those levels for you over at Victory Men's Health. They also have ways that they can help you with erectile dysfunction. They have vitamin infusion programs, supplement shops, a red light therapy program, cardiovascular testing, micronutrient labs, all kinds of ways that they can unlock your inner champion. And it's all at victorymenshealth.com. To book that first appointment, go to the website, put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion today. Check them out at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com. With Alex and T-Bone on BK, have you guys read about this Emmanuel Clase, Luis Ortiz scandal?
Oh, it is
We haven't
wild.
spent much time on this.
I saw it trending yesterday, so I didn't read anything to see what the updates were.
So here is, in my opinion, kind of the heart of what he did. This comes from The Athletic. As Clase was racking up big league saves and all-star appearances, he was allegedly spiking 57-foot sliders to benefit a group of co-conspirators.
What?
Clase and Ortiz could face up to 65 years in prison if convicted. This operation had allegedly netted its co-conspirators more than $450,000 in winnings since May of 2023.
Jeez.
Clase and Ortiz appeared to have received only a small cut of that profit. The pattern they developed involved Clase relaying the pitch that he would throw and whether or not it would land in the strike zone. The go-to combination was a slider that would bounce in the dirt. Clase's cutter routinely clocked in at roughly 99 to 100 miles an hour. His slider would register at 91 miles an hour. So this would arm the co-conspirator with knowledge of what he would try to throw for a ball, and the bettors would allegedly wager on both the velocity of the pitch
How are you betting on this?
and the result of it. Over the course of more than 2 years, according to this report, bettors placed more than 100 bets, both straight and parlays, on Clase's offerings. Before Ortiz's start on June 15th against the Mariners, according to this report, he allegedly agreed with Clase that for a $5,000 payment, he would throw a ball for his first pitch in the second inning. Clase would receive $5,000, allegedly, from the bettors for arranging all of this.
Where are you betting on this? And also, 65 years?
Yeah.
That's intense.
I mean, this is like,
I mean, Pete Rose just got
these are
blackballed
federal crimes.
Yeah, because they were doing in the indictment. What was it? Money
laundering.
Money laundering. So this is like underground-ish right now.
Yeah, because like in the article they talk about how he allegedly, like it was, hey, when you like go to put this money in through an account, say it's for buying a horse.
Yeah, because they sent it back to their home countries,
Dominican.
and they said, hey, when you're giving it back, they're going to ask you what this money is for. Tell them it is to buy a horse. He said, do you get that? It's to buy a horse.
So
Gotcha.
they were talking to a man about a horse.
Basically. Yeah, this is my biggest thing. So there's a few things. One of the pitches that Clase threw, he was trying to spike it.
And he didn't.
And the Dodgers player,
Pages swung and missed.
Andy Pages, swung and missed out.
Oh.
So he lost the bet because
he swung and missed?
hitter.
Oh, Pages had to have known about that one. I'm going to screw you out of $5,000, buddy. Wow.
So that will forever be remembered. Also, dude, Clase was intentionally throwing balls. Think about how much we have heard about, like, the importance of strike one, right? The Cardinals talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Ball one versus strike one, 1-0 versus 0-1 counts. The expected numbers after that, it's crazy, the swing. It's crazy. And Clase's over here like, yo, I'm going to start 1-0 on purpose. And he was the best closer in baseball while throwing the first pitch for a ball on purpose. Think about how good. This guy's the best pitcher ever.
Dude.
He was willingly throwing balls to start out.
The fact that this guy's
that bad.
It's
crazy.
65 years is wild.
It's not funny. This is horrific. Like the fact that he was able to get away with this for multiple years prior to them figuring
alarming.
out, it's hugely problematic.
Yeah.
And baseball came out yesterday and they said, hey, you know, we're going to do something about this. The max bet that you can now do is $200 on these kinds of bets. You should eliminate them.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna- you shouldn't be able to bet on this.
Completely. The first pitch,
That's
betting on
ridiculous.
the results and the velocity, that can't happen, dude. Betting on, like, will this guy hit a home run? Sure. Okay, fine.
Over under
It's
on
hard to
runs
do.
scored in
Yeah.
the game. Fine.
This is crazy
Yeah.
that it's even offered, much less that this guy was able to do it for more than 100 bets over multiple years. I can't believe that it was never found out prior to that, but that's the latest with this story.
This is something you can't have in baseball. Just like betting on the first pitch. Like, of course they'll find a way to do something with this one.
All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into some NFL quick hitters. But next, is this going to be a lost season for the Blues? And if so, what does that mean? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care. Look, we are into that winter weather right now. Now it's probably going to go back to fall weather. We know how it works in St. Louis, which is why your HVAC system, it's got to get checked out. It's got to make sure that it's good to go. The turning on, the turning off, the doors open, windows open. Now you're cranking the heat. Classic Air Care is here to make your HVAC system get you through the amount of lifespan that it has, but also take care of you and your family. They've been doing so since 1926. I speak about them all the time because I've been using it since 2016, since I've owned a home. My dad's been using them for as long as I can remember, and a lot of this is because of the professionalism and the knowledge that you get from the technicians. Check out their Google Plus page, the Google reviews. It's got 5-star ratings, thousands of them talking about their incredible service, like this one from Cindy. We enjoy the promptness and professionalism of every person that we have met at Classic Air Care or encountered and had into our home. They are very clean, neat, down to business kind of people. Couldn't ask for more from Classic Air Care. So call them today. They got 100 vans on the road, which means they're going to get back to you within 24 hours. If you're looking for a new HVAC system, they've got financing options. Schedule online. Check out their maintenance agreement. Tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So Jeremy Rutherford had a good piece earlier today about whether or not this is going to be a lost season for the Blues. And if so, what does it mean? He talked about the possibility of, hey, maybe you could add Gavin McKenna. In this offseason, they've got $25 million to spend, and maybe they are able to overhaul some of this core group of players. Maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe that's exactly what they're missing. Alex, I did read earlier today, if you want a reason for optimism, I can give you something.
Yeah, I'm searching for it, especially from you right now. This would be good.
This comes from ESPN.com. NHL's biggest early season surprises, for better and for worse.
Is this
Neil Payne, who's a big nerd, he loves the numbers, said the following. Perhaps surprisingly, for a team that has performed so badly over the season's first month, St. Louis is actually not in terrible shape. The Blues still have a 32% playoff probability, owing that to how the rest of the West basement hasn't exactly been impressive either, and there's a good chance that the Blues start winning more games soon. The team has been one of the unluckiest in the league so far this year by a measure of which teams are unduly benefiting, or not, from shooting and save percentage. Cut through the noise, and St. Louis currently ranks 7th in their share of total scoring chances by game, 11th in their share of expected goals per game, and 4th in offensive zone percentage so far this season. If they can get a little better goaltending, and right now, Binnington and Hofer combined to rank last in the league in save percentage, the Blues are very capable of turning things around. None of that was my opinion. That was the writing of Neil Payne, who couldn't care less about your St. Louis Blues other than to say he believes things will get better. Alex, is it the worst thing in the world, though, if this is a lost season for the Blues?
Yes and no. I mean, the positives, I guess, is like, look, you're going to get a generational talent that you haven't been able to draft since Eric Johnson. And from how everybody's speaking of both Gavin McKenna, Ivar Stenberg, and then there's a Keaton Verhoff, who's a defenseman playing in college hockey right now. Like, these three guys are franchise-esque players. And, I mean, look at what Matthew Schaefer's doing for the Islanders right now. Look at what Macklin Celebrini, Connor Bedard are doing. Even go beyond those guys, like in the Connor Bedard draft, Adam Fantilli has been a part of the Blue Jackets team that's playing some decent hockey. Leo Carlson, who was picked 3rd overall, is part of an Anaheim Ducks team that's the best team in the Pacific Division, and I think he's got 10 goals on the season or something like that. So to get a generational talent like that would be massive for an organization that before Dalibor Dvorsky hadn't drafted a forward in the top 10 of the draft since Rod Brindamore. It's been a while. So that's the positive if they have a bad season. The negatives far outweigh the positives, in my opinion, because they were trying to do this on the fly. And if you fail this season, and the same reasoning is, well, they didn't have energy, they didn't play competitive hockey, and, you know, we were just in a funk for a long time. Man, this is the same core that you built around, that you wanted to build this retool around, that's been here for 4 years. And going out there and drafting Gavin McKenna 1st overall, you're just adding a 17-year-old into a team that is, frankly, for lack of a better word, bad. So, cool, you drafted somebody 1st overall. Well, what else are you doing? Go look at the free agent market. There's nobody out there that makes a difference. Like, I don't think Adrian Kempe's hitting the market. Nick Schmaltz, to me, that's not somebody that changes the outlook of your franchise. So you're not doing that. You could try an offer sheet. Typically isn't going to go the way that Holloway and Broberg went for you. And then you're talking about a trade. The problem for the Blues is, if this is a lost season, big if, and we're talking like top 3 pick, then their issues are going to lie within their core. And until you figure out who the problem is, who the problems are in your locker room, drafting 1st overall isn't going to matter. You got to clean out whatever is bad in your room before you can start to build something consistent. So, look, I would love to talk about a 1st overall pick, because we haven't had the chance to do that since Eric Johnson, and it gets people excited. If it's a bad season, be awful. But I don't think that makes you a Stanley Cup contender next year. I think that opens up more wounds for this team that I'm not sure Doug Armstrong or Alex Steen can find their way out of.
So the human element of this is what I can't get into. That's where it gets tough. Because, man, if you end up with the number 1 overall pick, it means you went through 6 months of absolute hell to get there.
Yeah.
It's miserable. And you've been inside of these locker rooms, Alex, when things are going poorly. Dude, it is not a fun place to be. And hockey hurts. It's kind of like football in that regard. Like basketball, you can get through the season. We all kind of go our separate ways. You get into the offseason, whatever. Basketball, like, it's a less physical sport. Hockey is violent. Football is violent. When you go into these lockers, I've been to football locker rooms where the team is out of it. Dude, it is absolutely miserable once you get into like November of a bad football team. I would imagine the same is true for hockey, where you get into January and February and these guys are just drained. They don't want to be there, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and then that bleeds into the personal connection side of things. So I can't speak to that and what it would look like on that level if they had a complete lost season where they end up being in the running for the number 1 overall pick. That's where it gets hard for me. If I'm purely looking at this through what does it do for the roster, though, and I'm looking at it from a cold-hearted, are you better situated for the future, for 2026 and beyond, in this scenario where it's a lost season, or in the setting where you end up with like 85 to 90 points, which one's better for you in the long haul? I think getting the number 1 pick is actually better for this team, because it does potentially give you the thing you're lacking. How many times over the last few years have we had the conversation of you're missing a superstar? You're asking guys that are good players to be stars, and it's unfair to them, and it's probably not going to work for you. And the best way to get that guy, as we've been talking about in the recent weeks, is by drafting him, because rarely are they available via trade. Almost never are they available via free agency. Typically, you get those guys via draft, develop, sign long term. So if you think Gavin McKenna is a superstar, and I've got my questions on that because of the size and all these different things, that could actually long-term be the best thing for this roster. But that's just purely from a roster perspective and what they're missing right now. I don't know what a season from hell does to the mentality of all of this and what it would mean for the roster that Gavin McKenna's potentially adding himself to. Is Kyrou here? I don't know. Yeah. Is Shin still here? I don't know. These are things I can't answer, but just purely from a roster standpoint, I think it could actually end up being the best thing for this team. But I can't answer for what it would mean for the other side of it.
Yeah, I think it just opens up a lot more problems because you can't miss the playoffs in a year that they thought they were going to be competitive after how last year was. You're right. I mean, like this, I would love for this city to have a superstar to this caliber. And I don't know what Gavin McKenna becomes. I don't even know what they draft first overall because there's still a lot more season for guys to develop in their prospect pool. But it would be incredible for this city to have a superstar. But sometimes when you go get a young superstar and expect it to fix your problems are bigger than that. Like I look at a team like the Washington Capitals. Washington was a consistent playoff threat a few years after they won the Stanley Cup. Then they had that missed season where they drafted 8th overall and they got Ryan Leonard. 8th overall is very different than 1st overall. But they went out there and they got a really good talent. That's not the reason that they became a team that is consistently in the playoffs and now is effective. What happened? Alex Ovechkin got back to himself. Dylan Strome became this unknown player that went from 30 points to 70 points, and they got goaltending. They figured out what their problems were. They traded away some pieces. Oshie retired. They went and got Pierre-Luc Dubois, and they said, we fixed our problems, and now we're adding younger talent. That, to me, is still like, if this is a lost season, yes, go get a superstar. It's incredible to have. You still are going to have other problems that the front office is going to have to figure out what's gone wrong because the core is still in place, and you don't want to bring a 17-year-old into a core of a team that's trying to figure out what their own issues are.
He's Alex S. T-Bone on BK. Coming up next, NFL Quick Hitters here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario and BK with you. BK Underdog app is the place we go for NFL action, NBA action, and in the state of Missouri, you can make your entries now and win money. But we got hockey tonight. Blues aren't losing to the Calgary Flames, so I go in. First thing I do, BK, I open up my Underdog app, a $20 promo entry, where they just give me $20 and I could use that for my play. So I find the St. Louis-Calgary game. I'm going higher Kyrou on shots, higher on Nazem Kadri shots. I know, but we always know he's going to get shots, and higher on a Robert Thomas points. $20 pays out 3-1 odds.
Love that. You can do it as well, whether you want to do it on the NHL, you want to wait till Thursday Night Football in the NFL, you want some college football action, you can do it all over there, and NBA action in play tonight. Couple of games over on NBC, Celtics versus the Sixers, Nuggets versus the Kings. Put your plays together. Playing on Underdog is so easy. Choose whether your favorite players going higher or lower on their stats, points, rebounds, steals, so much more. Get your entries right. You could win up to 5,000 times your cash. I forgot to mention, you can even do this on college basketball. Woo! So if you want to get it on that side of things, some big games in the college basketball slate tonight as well. Download the app today. Use the promo code BKO. You'll score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. This promo code BKO. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 or older. Present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See assets at underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. You guys ready for it?
After last night's game, absolutely. Give me something to be excited about.
We don't have to talk about last night's game again.
Yeah, let's move on from that. Your Packers stink, so do the Eagles.
What'd you make of the fourth down decision last night?
I loved it.
Are you being serious?
No, absolutely not.
I thought you were. Hey, man, I'm willing to listen to the alternative view.
Look, I understand where he was coming from, to where it's like, look, 3 points doesn't win us the football game. We're trying to win the football game. But you also held that team scoreless in the first half. So you're saying that you don't punt the football and you don't trust your defense to shut it down, or you don't try because they couldn't kick a field goal where they were at. So
anybody that is curious, what's the situation we're talking about here?
I didn't say it.
The Eagles were up 10-7. There's 35 seconds left to play. It's 4th and 6. Ball is at the Green Bay Packers 35-yard line. So if you kick the field goal there, it's a 52-yard field goal. You would potentially go up 13-7. If you don't make it, you are basically setting up the Green Bay Packers they need 10 yards to get into field goal range at that point in time. So that's the situation for kicking. You can also go for it. Again, 4th and 6. You give the ball to the Packers at their own 35 if you don't get it, or you can punt in that spot. The Packers had no timeouts remaining. They had 35 seconds left to play. They decide to go for it. How did you guys feel in that spot? What would you have done if you were in the Eagles situation?
I would have trusted my defense. I watched that Packers team that entire game. They did not have any offensive spark. There was no momentum. I would have trusted my defense to shut that game down. So I either would have punted or probably would have punted, because going for the field goal and you miss it, you're putting them in an ideal spot.
Windy last night.
Yeah, so
I don't
we
think
saw
a
that.
field goal to me was even an option.
I agree.
I don't think you can kick there. I think you either have to go or punt.
Yeah, I thought you have to punt in that situation. You try and pin them deep, because I agree. I've trusted the defense all night. They've played excellent. I have no reason to believe that Jordan Love's going to beat me without a timeout, by the way, to go the length of the football field. And even if I do punt it into the end zone, they start at, the 20 compared to the 35? That's a 15-yard difference. I thought I was missing something last night.
Too.
Like, I thought the analytics said something to where I was going crazy.
And it was the opposite. The analytics said punt.
And I'm typically the one that it's on more of the conservative side. Like, I think at times it is smart to go for it. Sometimes I think Campbell's crazy for doing it as much as he does. I thought for sure I had to be on the wrong side of things last night.
And even what the Mannings were saying, because I was listening to the Manning cast, and they said, if you're going to go for it, you don't rush that play decision. You take the time out and you figure it out yourself of what you come up with something creative. The fact that you ran to the line of scrimmage, because Peyton the whole time was like, they're going to try and get him to jump off sides. We'll take the timeout and they'll
call a timeout.
I think they did take a timeout.
Did they? Because he
called the timeout there.
Oh, he was acting as if they didn't do that. Well, maybe did they have the play called back or something?
No, they called timeout.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different play then, but I don't know, man. It's just a weird scenario.
Yeah, I don't know. was really strange.
It felt-
I think you're thinking of the Packers 4th and 1
Maybe
call.
that's what it was when he fumbled it. Yep, you're right.
The Packers,
yeah, you're right.
It was a weird call. He ends up fumbling it on the play.
Yep,
it didn't
you're
really
right.
matter because it was 4th down anyways. But that was the one where they went quick. And the Eagles called out what their play call was going to be.
Okay, you're right. My mistake.
That was the spot. No, you're good. That was the drive before, so it gets a little confusing.
And if you're going to go for it on 4th and 6, why are we not running something that's like a creative route that is just like a 7-yard pass?
Ball.
I know. It felt like, because they threw it to Brown, if I remember correctly, it felt like they're like, hey, AJ, like, we're going to throw this ball short, like, do the whole, like, run back towards the ball and draw a pass interference, let's end the game, which is the stupidest idea I could have ever heard of. And, of course, Sirianni was able to get away with it.
Yeah, he ends up getting away with it. They missed the kick to potentially send it to overtime. It wasn't close.
Yeah, he said after the game, he's like, oh, we were going for it no matter what.
By the way, the idea that they tried, so they got the opportunity, right, to take that kick. Okay, we realize he misses after the timeout was burned by Sirianni. Okay, we got to throw an out route. And Jordan Love's throw was like not even close. It was terrible play design to even try and get the ball out for an extra 5.
So the other big news yesterday, Joe Burrow is back at practice. He is anticipating that he will return Thanksgiving Day. Now, you look at the Bengals and where they find themselves in the standings. It's not ideal, Alex, but they're not out of it. I mean, they still at least have a shot to be able to win this division, and the schedule's relatively speaking manageable the rest of the way. Do you think, in your mind, they're a contender in the AFC North?
No, I don't. I do think there's a chance. I mean, like, it makes sense why they're doing this on Thanksgiving. You hope that Joe Flacco can manage his way through the Steelers and the Patriots, get one win there, and then Flacco comes back, Ravens, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. So
that's the stretch that you need him for.
If you get Burrow back and he comes in and he just dominates offensively, because that's how you have to win football games, then yeah, I mean, if you find a way to beat the Ravens twice, then you're in the driver's seat. But I don't believe it, because I don't think you could get 2 wins, maybe 1 versus the Steelers. And then even with Burrow, that defense is awful to the point that I think the Ravens are figuring it out now. They'll pick up probably 2 wins there. Bills beat them, and then by that time you're done.
So I think you have to go 1-1 in your next 2.
Agreed.
That's got to be the goal, and then you have to win out.
Yeah,
because that gets you to 9 wins, and if you're at 9, you've at least got a shot.
9 wins, and you're beating the Ravens twice.
Yeah. I think they've got a chance to make it interesting. I would not bet on
That
it.
would get you to 10. Excuse me. That would get you to 10 wins at the end of the season. 10-7 potentially.
If you beat the Ravens twice, then you got a real shot.
Yeah, and I don't think they can. I mean, as much as we love Joe Burrow, and he is a stud, I mean, he is a great quarterback and will lift that offense, you got to stop somebody at some point, and their defense just cannot do it. And now that Baltimore is starting to figure things out on the defensive side of the ball, and they've got Lamar back, them beating them twice, I just don't see it happening.
Let me ask you a follow-up on this. How many losses do you think are on the schedule for the Ravens? Let's go through this. At the Browns. Just give me a win or loss on all these.
Yeah, win.
Home against the Jets.
Win.
Home against the Bengals with Joe Burrow.
Win.
Home against the Steelers.
Win.
On the road at the Bengals.
I'll say loss.
That one I'll give them the benefit of doubt.
Home against the Patriots.
Loss. I think the Patriots are a better team.
I would say loss.
Road against the Packers.
Win. This version of your Packers, unless they figure their ish out, win.
Road against the Steelers.
I'll say win. I don't think the Steelers can be
Steelers by that time
point,
might be
they'll
done.
probably be out of it.
So win.
So you've got 10 wins for the Ravens. That means that the Bengals have to go at least 6-1 the rest of the way, and that loss can't come against the Ravens. They've got to have that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
They're
It's
not
tough,
doing
man.
that.
It's tough. It's really difficult for them to be able to get back into this thing. All right, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, a former Cardinal starter feels the exact same way as Alex does about the Cardinals potentially adding anything of significance this offseason. You're going to want to hear this audio next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues back in action tonight as they will host the Calgary Flames. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
We were just talking NFL. Another rough week for us in the Fast Lane versus the Riz Show Pick'em Challenge.
Us. You.
I was fine.
Oh,
Finished
okay. Well,
third.
we helped with that. Yeah. So it was us. Yeah.
I didn't have a terrible week. It wasn't a great one, but nobody did particularly well this week.
I don't know that I want to.
So why did you guys lose then?
Unfortunately, got shot in the butt. We picked the Steelers on Sunday night.
Has Marshy been worse than you this year?
I don't know. I don't know how many.
I feel like it's you and Marshy that keep getting shot.
I think Carey actually has been the worst, if I remember correctly. I think it's Carey and Marsh below me now. I think I'm third, if I remember correctly. Dang. I'd have to look at the standings again. But each week we do the Pick'em Challenge, and sometimes we all come together, just hang out, watch some football. Marshy will be with Moon of the Riz Show this Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. It'll be at Hot Shots in Arnold, out in Alex's neck of the woods.
My town, baby.
Come watch the Thursday night football game. Get signed up for some point and 101 ESPN giveaways. You can enjoy some cold Bud Light. It's all Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30 with Marshy, Moon, and Bud Light at Hot Shots in Arnold. All right, Alex, so yesterday I was listening to a podcast. The Cardinals territory is now with Jim Hayes. It has Matt Holliday, Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson. It's a fun podcast to listen to. And yesterday they were starting to project toward the offseason. And I thought Lance Lynn asked a really fun question of Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson in this scenario is me. Lance Lynn in this scenario is Alex. Go ahead and take a listen.
Do you think Billy D goes over $100 million this offseason for a starting pitcher?
I think that if Chaim Bloom
believes no,
that,
Kyle, you know it. If you're getting rid of Sonny Gray, you're not spending $100 million on a damn thing.
I understand, but you have Sonny Gray for 1 year. Zach Gallen's going to be 5 years probably. Now all of a sudden you're into this window that you believe you need to be to bring Cardinals fans winning baseball again. That is why I would bring in Zach Gallen to go through this window of the next 4 or 5 years.
I love that.
We've had that exact conversation.
I love that. Can we play the Lance Lynn part again where he's like, you know damn well it's not going to happen, Kyle, so stop acting as if that was me.
Kyle.
Can you get back to the question, too? What did he call Bill DeWitt Jr.?
Billy D goes over $100 million.
The answer's no, Kyle. Stop trying to answer this. The answer's no, okay? God, I love it, too. He just knows. They know.
Lance Lynn feels the same way as you do, Alex.
The answer's no, Kyle.
It's funny because he got $14 million from Billy D.
Yeah. Well, this still wouldn't go over
both of them are here
both of them.
because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I was Lance when we did that Nolan Arenado segment and BK's over. The answer's no, Brandon. He's going to be back. Do you really think they're going to eat all of the salary? The answer's no, Brandon.
Do you guys think they make a big move for a starter?
The answer's no, Brandon.
I actually agree with you on this. I don't think they will.
No, I think you go into the bargain bin and try and go for upside.
I don't think they should, because all of the guys that you would pay $100 million to have the QO attached to them.
Well, but also
the qualifying offer. For anybody that's not familiar, that means you have to give up a draft pick in order to sign them, and I don't think this is the offseason where they should do that.
Well, and also, they're not in the timeline. Like you're a couple of years away before you can get to that actual competitiveness window.
So, if
the answer's no, Brandon,
I know. This isn't going to be the case, so I'm almost arguing for no reason whatsoever.
Welcome to my life. Feels like PK and Ferrario in a nutshell.
There is no player that fits the criteria that I'm talking about here, but if there were a great starting pitcher that were available, and he's worth $100 million, and he's young, and all of these different things apply to it, it would make sense to me for the Cardinals to go get that guy, because he can be here for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's maybe he's not going to be a part of your winning window that begins in 2026, but whenever that window starts, and it typically starts before you expect it to. Most of the time, these things happen slowly, then all at once. At least that guy's in place whenever you do start winning again.
Well, Mackenzie Gore was this guy we talked about yesterday.
Sure. to argue against that point, if you're getting him in free agency this offseason, he's attached to the qualifying offer, in which case you have to give up the draft pick. So, like, signing Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Zach Gallen, it doesn't make sense to me to go get that guy and give up a draft pick to do so. I would just wait or trade for that player. I think the trade path is far more intriguing to me to get one of those pitchers than the free agency path. And then you can extend him if you want to. I'm fine with that. But I don't think signing a guy and giving up a draft pick makes sense for this team.
Unless the stars align in this offseason, and I know we mentioned it earlier, but like if they were able to hypothetically say trade for Fernando Tatis Jr., it's like, okay, this expedited it because now we got the MVP. Now I wouldn't be as opposed if you're going to make the trade or sign the guy to the QO. And I guess you wouldn't QO for a guy that you trade for. But regardless, if they were to omit that draft pick and go sign the guy, well, maybe you expedited this. You got Fernando Tatis Jr., you go out there and you find a good starter, and now you could at least make it a little bit more intriguing.
Even without Tatis, I can make a strong case for why the Cardinals should add to this roster. It's not hard for me to do. And it basically comes down to, like, the guy has to be young and in his prime 2 to 3 years from now. If they are, they can just be added to the core of whatever you want to build around in 2027. But I can't do that in free agency because those guys are Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, Dylan Cease. And all of them have the qualifying offer attached to them. And I don't want to see this team give up a draft pick, and I don't think they will give up a draft pick to do what I'm talking about. So, like, whether it's Fernando Tatis Jr. or somebody else, Mackenzie Gore, whomever, I'm very much open to the idea of them adding a core piece this offseason via trade. I don't think it would be smart for them to do so via free agency due to the qualifying offer being attached to all of the players that would fit the criteria of being a core player. If they're going to dip into free agency, and I think they probably need to, the guys that you're talking about are nobody that anybody's going to be excited about. It's Dustin May. It's going and getting like Emilio Pagan, who's a reliever that can come help you. Maybe it's Zach Eflin as a back end of the rotation starter, Brad Keller as a swing starter. These guys aren't exciting, but they can potentially help fill out your roster, and some of them have some upside. That Lucas Giolito, those are the guys that I think make more sense for the Cardinals as opposed to going and spending $100 million.
Yeah, I agree because I think you're right. I think right now the focus is more of replenishing the farm system while also upgrading on the margins at the major league roster. And these guys that we're talking about, even if they signed Tatis, or traded for Tatis, even then I think you probably hold on and just wait another year or two before you even plunge into that market to go to the $100 million. I think they are in the bargain bin shopping. They are looking at those guys that BK mentioned to try and just kind of get through this year while you continue to replenish that farm system the way that Chaim Bloom wants to build this his way.
Somebody said, just sign Harrison Bader to put him in the rotation. Maybe.
I don't know if I want him in my rotation.
I don't either. This is not the offseason to sign Harrison Bader, but maybe if they traded Victor Scott, I'd be open to it.
There's zero offseason to sign Harrison Bader.
I saw Fabian, who covers the LA Dodgers, was like, yeah, so like they'll probably sign Kyle Tucker, but if they don't, like they could go for like Bader. Like what a settle that would be.
Harrison Bader is a good player that helps contenders.
Yeah, you can afford Kyle Tucker.
He's not the piece that you go get if you're in need of offense. He's the last piece that you put into your roster if you're like, we could use somebody that hits lefties and plays good defense in center field.
He helped the Phillies win the World Series this year.
He did help them down the stretch. He was a really nice piece for them.
He was great for them. He got hurt. If he doesn't get hurt, like everything kind of plays a little bit better.
Right? Teams like the Phillies, the Dodgers, at one point the Braves, the Mets, these teams really like having Tommy Edman and Harrison Bader, and if he became available, Lars Nootbaar when healthy, Brendan Donovan. Like those guys are very nice pieces for these legit contenders. The Cardinals continue to develop solid supplementary talent.
That's why you should go get Tatis.
They're missing the stars. They're missing your Manny Machado, your Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, all of these guys that make it work. Without that, you don't have the need for some of this supplementary talent.
Prels.
Coming up next, time for the rewind here on 101 ESPN.
The answer is no, Kyle. You know it.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends down at Ted Drew's off of Chippewa, open daily, and has been a St. Louis tradition since 1929. It's a Blues game night, so what better night to get you prepped for the Blues and Flames, to go get dinner, and then swing by Ted Drew's Frozen Custard and pick up the Blue Note. It's vanilla custard mixed with a blend of fresh blueberries, smooth lemon cream, graham crackers, served as a concrete or a sundae. And I know what you're probably saying, Alex, it's too cold for this. No, I promise you it's not, because that frozen custard tastes good no matter what the weather is. And with all the holidays coming up, you could buy it in bulk, bring it home, pop it in the freezer, bust it out at Thanksgiving, and make everybody happy that you got Ted Drew's. They've been around for generations, built on consistency and incredible customer service. So get on out there, check them out. While you're there, walk across the parking lot and check out the Ted Drew's gift shop, the historical museum. You can see memorabilia of Ted Drew's history in St. Louis, Route 66, everything in between. Also, you could buy stylish Ted Drew's apparel and unique gifts, including Ted Drew's gift card. So get on out there and celebrate the 96 years and 4 generations of families that have been enjoying delicious frozen custard. Ted Drew's, unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Hey, please support the Countdown to Thanksgiving campaign to benefit Operation Food Search. That is hosted by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. It's also hosted by Hot Shots, Coca-Cola, and by 101 ESPN. Drop off a non-perishable food donation at any area, Lee's or Hot Shots now through next Friday. Every donation will earn you a free Coca-Cola beverage. All food collected will then go to Operation Food Search to help local families in need. Each donor will also be entered in to win a prize package that includes gift cards to Lee's, Hot Shots, or hockey tickets. Get all the details to the Countdown to Thanksgiving to benefit Operation Food Search right now at 101ESPN.com. All right, let's hit the rewind, Alex. We opened the show today talking about the Packers from last night. Ooh, boy, not good for them. Are you guys out on the Packers and the Eagles? Did we watch a game last night between two teams that will not be in the NFC Championship game this year?
I'm out on the Packers. I'm done with the Packers. I don't think they go past the first round if they even make the playoffs. The Eagles are the team that I don't trust, but I know that they can flip the switch in the playoffs. They may find a way to win because of their championship caliber. I still believe the Eagles are the fourth best team in the NFC.
I think they might be third right now. I would have 1 Rams, 2 Lions, 3 might be the Eagles. I just don't trust the Seahawks quarterback situation. Their defense is awesome. I also think they might only have 1 legit weapon offensively. And he's been so freaking good this year. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been amazing. What happens when you get into the playoffs, though, and defensive coordinators are like really honing in on him, and you've got the talent to shut him down or slow him down at least? How does the Seahawks offense adjust, and what does Sam Darnold look like in those settings? That's my fear for the Seahawks as we get further along into the season. So I'm not out on the Eagles just yet. It's hard for me to be out on the Packers all the way. I think they're going to make the playoffs still. I've got to set them aside, though, when it comes to a championship contender. They have not shown me enough this year to put them into that category.
Yeah, I'm out on the Packers as being a championship contender. I'm with you there. They might be able to sneak in. I think it just comes down to them and San Fran. I think those are going to be the two that battle for that last playoff spot. I still think the Eagles can get to the championship game. Now, I would not pick them to get to the Super Bowl this year. I don't know that they're capable of that. But their defense will keep them in a lot of games. I will give them still the benefit of the doubt because as much as I've questioned Jalen Hurts over the last couple of years, he's gotten to 2 Super Bowls and he's won 1. So he deserves a little bit of a benefit of the doubt.
T-Bone on the college basketball side of things. Your lineup with a legitimately big game tonight. Texas Tech on the road at Illinois.
Listen to the Blues.
I have not seen an update on Ivicic and whether or not he's going to play tonight. I'll say it so you don't have to, T-Bone. It's a 7:30 start tonight on FS1. Illinois is a 3.5-point home favorite. What are you looking for in this game between two teams that are legit Elite Eight, Final Four type of hopefuls this season?
Well, if the guy that you mentioned that could be out for this game, if he is out, it's going to change things for them offensively because he's been fantastic this year. He was averaging 21 points, shooting 50% from 3. Oof. So it'll change the way that the offense looks. How do they respond if they are without him? I just want to see what they look like against actual competition tonight. You know, they've looked great in their first 2 games, Florida Gulf Coast and Jackson State.
113 points in each of those 2 games.
Yeah, you're going to look good against them. Does the offense look good like this when you play Texas Tech?
Yeah, Mizzou, on the other hand.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what does the offense look like now that you're going up against a team that's going to be able to play defense? They seem to think they prepared themselves for if this game becomes a physical game. But granted, the reference Underwood made of that was like, well, Illinois State was physical in our scrimmage. Oh, we're going to go off of that? So we'll see.
This is the game, BK, by the way, that tomorrow he either comes in and says this team's winning the whole thing.
No, we're good at non-con. We're good
he's
at
done on this team
play.
After tonight.
Absolutely.
It's one or the other.
Texas Tech is one of the best players in the country. Christian Anderson is an awesome guard. I'm curious to see how Illinois matches up with him. How do you look against the best guards?
Rodgers will be the one that's on him.
And how does that go? That's going to be an open-ended question. JT Toppin, a really good player for him, for Texas Tech as well. He's been there for a few years now. He's going to be more of your underneath option. They've got a really solid 1-2 combination. So curious to see how that one goes for the Illini tonight. We will certainly be paying attention to that, breaking it all down tomorrow. The Blues also back in action. They've switched up the line combinations a bit. Dvorsky is going to be centering a line with Jordan Kyrou and Dylan Holloway. For me, Alex, that's what I'm most curious about tonight. And also, borderline must-win game. What is it that you're looking for tonight?
It's that one. It's the Holloway line, kind of seeing it. It's Thomas and Buchnevich. I still think they're searching for consistency from those guys. And then Bennington. I think Bennington's been better lately, but that he had that dud against the Capitals. So this is you've gotten Hofer back to where you feel comfortable with him in net. Now you need Binnington to be the guy that you're kind of the savior for the team. And frankly, they just need to win. I mean, yes, this is a must win, not a borderline. This is a must win. And you just need a win to get yourself out of this confidence shell that you're in right now.
Blues back in action tonight. You'll be able to hear it right here on 101 ESPN. Alex has pregame starting at 6. Puck drop for the Blues versus the Flames tonight at 7. For Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kyler. We're going to go work out together over at the Fitness Center.
Oh,
no, we're
nice.
not. I'm going to go do the fastest workout I've ever done in my life.
Do a vlog.
No, my headphones are going to be on. If you even look in my direction,
we will
chuck
talk
a
to you
dumbbell
tomorrow
at you.
at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next year on 101 ESPN.
Kickstart my heart.